Alright, we're good.
Be like,
Bussin' with the boys, hanging with the fellas, betting on a game. No woman's gonna tell us what to do, and I've been over here just drinking beer and making that noise. Baby, I'm hanging with the fellas, bussin' with the boys. Bro.
Rolling, Mitch.
Yeah, rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Welcome to another episode of Bussin' with the Boys. We are the boys, William Earl Compton III and Taylor Curtis Lewan.
you don't have to say the middle name, but yep.
That's your middle name.
I know, I just hate it.
I know. I used to hate Earl.
Earl
I got
is
made
the
fun.
coolest.
I know, but I got made fun of a lot as a young lad.
But like, what parent, especially a father, has a kid come out of the womb, a son, and names him Taylor, which is like mostly a girl's name,
Unisex name.
pops on Curtis on top of that.
Yeah.
I just got a bitch-ass name.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to switch it up.
Just
Like, legally change my
it.
name.
What would
Something-
you change it to?
I don't know.
Would you keep Taylor?
I've grown to enjoy
keep
Taylor. I've
yeah.
grown to enjoy Taylor. I probably would not do this, but it no bad ideas in a brainstorm.
Yeah, what middle name would you go with?
I think I've always thought it'd be funny for a person to actually have the middle name Danger, because that was always like the bit when you're in middle school. Like, Mom, my middle name is Danger. But I think
Taylor
being
Danger
33, it's kind of not cool.
Especially with some of the stories you had growing
Yeah.
up where you were kind of intimidated by a lot of things.
Oh yeah, I was
Like a fastball,
like
a movie.
yeah, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord
Getting
of the
tackled.
Rings at 12 years old.
Yeah, that was. I mean, you saw the first Lord of the Rings, didn't you?
Yeah,
And then the black horses and the black guys in the black cloaks.
yeah, pretty
chasing that
badass.
small little man.
Danger.
No, that's terrifying.
I got a
Now-
I got a middle name.
Go ahead.
You want to hear it?
I do, but I don't like the way you're sizing it up. I do want to hear it. Go ahead.
I would change your middle name to Taylor Chevy Silverado Lewan. This
Oh my
podcast is
God.
presented by our good friends at Chevy. There's a reason we've never done a tier talk of best pickup trucks, and that's because for Bussin' with the boys, there is only one pickup truck, and that is the Chevy Silverado. Why is that? Why is that, you ask? The Silverado is a partner that you can depend on. We've all spent time driving and using the Silverado for all kinds of adventures and other shenanigans. Silverado was a partner with us on the spring tour and will be with the boys on the fall tour as well. Silverado brings grit, legendary grit, paired with modern truck tech, inside and out, massive screens, up to 8 cameras, 14 different views, 4 different powertrain choices, and the available multi-flex tailgate so you can work hard and play smart all day long. There's a reason Chevy is America's most awarded brand for new vehicle quality over the last 3 years, according to JD Power. And you know your boy reps the all-black ZR2 Chevy Silverado. Head over to Chevy.com to build your own Silverado and check out all the current offers on the Silverado. Discover a world of strength, capability, all behind the wheel of our favorite truck, and that is once again, the Chevy Silverado. Chevrolet received the highest total number of awards compared to all the other brands in the JD Power 2022 to 2024 U.S. Initial Quality Studies. Visit jdpower.com/awards for more details. Awards based on 2022 to 2024 models.
That's getting longer.
That was a long read. That was a long read.
Yeah, long read.
Long read.
This is
Good read, though.
This is a massive episode for 770. I believe at this point we filmed this episode 2 days. We've been tracking down one man. What's that?
779.
Yeah, but when we filmed this, it was 772,
days.
and we said we had to keep it going for the sake of everything.
Today would be 780.
Today is 780.
Technically.
Day
780
780.
days. We've been tracking down
Chasing.
the beacon, the number one man for NFL Network, a man that was with ESPN for a long time, ended up traveling over when there was just a small nucleus of NFL Network happening, who now blossomed into the face of that channel. You know him as Rich Eisen. Let's give him a round of applause. Boys, we finally got him.
We finally got him.
We finally got him. Not only that, in less than a week's time, when the next episode comes up, our man, JP Hovey, is finally tying the knot, getting the ball and chain, starting himself a family. He is going to be married. Let's give him a round of applause out here. Have an absolute time. And Black Friday winners, we got a whole half dozen of them in here. We got the boys in the back. We'll introduce ourselves a little bit with the mic. Let's give them a round of applause. With that being said,
why not add more white guys to the bus?
no question.
This is not a DEI
This is the least
podcast.
diverse group I've ever seen in my entire life. Let's get some mics on the boys' mouths and let's talk a little shop here, boys. Introduce yourself, age, how old you were when you lost your virginity, and why you're a fan of the Browns.
Andrew AJ Betleon, 23. Age I lost my virginity? 16.
Nice.
Respectable age.
Yeah.
Respectable age. It's a
Golf
great
clap,
age.
golf
It's a great
clap.
age.
And then why I'm a fan of the Cleveland Browns? I just love misery. That's all they do to me is make me fucking miserable. So yeah.
Isn't that the best though?
I mean,
Misery, because one day, hopefully,
Hopefully.
you guys will hoist that Lombardi trophy.
Mm.
And that will make the misery all worth it.
Let's pass that mic down.
Who do we got next?
Will Souter, I'm 23, born into the cult of Brown's family, sadly. 8th grade when I lost my virginity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Strong
Nice,
clap for
man.
that one.
Thank you. Yeah.
I didn't think my piece worked in 8th grade, man.
I don't know if mine did great.
Yeah, well, I promise you it didn't.
It did for me.
8th grade. Can you set the tone? Where was it at?
On a pool table.
On the pool table's your
Really?
first
You're
time?
kinda
Yeah.
amazing.
All right.
Clay Maston, 25. I think I was 17.
Good.
Uh,
Good boy.
it's kind of embarrassing. Lost my virginity in a car in a McDonald's parking lot. So
Nice.
Gas station parking lot for me.
nice.
Did you eat
Yeah.
before or after?
Yeah.
what was
No,
the
no.
order?
It was like no eat.
All business.
all business, straight to the business. It was like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if they were.
You just pulled over to the side of the road.
Yeah.
So here's Mickey D's right here.
I was
Yeah.
like right now, right here, right now.
Yep, that's how the 17 brain works.
Yeah.
You got to get it with how you live. Ohio
D3.
State-
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to talk about Ohio State, but go ahead.
I was going to say, where'd you play D3 at?
Marietta College.
All right,
Shout out
you-
Marietta.
All right. Shout out Marietta. Where's that?
Right on the border of Ohio and West Virginia.
Okay.
It's like right there on the river.
There you go, Mitch. You got another D3 boy.
You guys feel good about your chances this year going into the game? You guys spent more money on NIL than any other team in all of college football? You feel good buying your way to a championship? You feel strong about that?
They haven't won a championship.
Buying your way to a championship. That's what their hopes are this year.
Well, I'd rather buy it than cheat to get it.
Oh! OH!
I-O!
You guys forget about your tattoo scandal, huh? Back in 2015.
The tattoos.
You guys forget about that. Cheating, getting free stuff before.
They did get punished.
We got punished for what? Getting to a bowl game for a year?
Well, what happened to Michigan?
We didn't do anything wrong, so nothing, brother.
Oh,
Nothing
really?
went wrong.
Hey,
Nothing
debatable.
Everything's debatable, dude. There's people out there saying the earth is flat. You want to debate that too?
Debatable.
Hey, I love it. You guys are fired up. You guys have lost 3 in a row, but somehow you still have pride. It's amazing.
How many did you lose in a row before that?
I think we won 2 in 20 years. We won 2 in 20 years. Dog years. It was the dog years, dude. You're forged in fire. You get your ass beat around for a little bit. You can only get your ass beat for so long before you stand up to a bully. So as it stands right now, Michigan is the most recent national champion of college football. And we're just built on grit, dude. We're built in the trenches. You guys paid a lot of money for your squad in Columbus, Ohio. Excited for that game. It's going to be awesome. But everyone's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. All right? That money's great, but it can't protect you on the field. How we feel? How we feeling?
Well, I mean, we got that new quarterback, Drew. You've heard him, right?
Yeah, I saw a couple of clips of him throwing picks in practice. Yeah.
You don't know Drew, the new quarterback at Ohio State?
I feel like this is a D's nuts joke.
It could be.
It very well could be. You see him rubbing that leg. He's about to start a fire.
Say Drew who?
No. Okay, I will. Drew who?
Drew Pisac?
A droopy sack joke.
Droopy sack.
Yeah, droopy
I got
sack
it.
joke.
I got it. You see my
For the
hand.
people.
You see
I
my
tried
hand
to-
on my chest right
yeah,
now.
for-
I'm a little
yeah,
nervous. I'm a
yeah,
little
yeah,
nervous right
yeah.
now.
I tried to
Just
set
hold
it up, but that was...
Well, the thing you
Poor
probably would have
execution.
got me, except for I'm still hurting from McPherson getting me back in November. Souk on these
Souk on.
nuts, and it was just so well done.
We do, speaking of Jack, a week of judgment. As you guys will find out on this podcast, Jack was tasked with the challenge of tweeting a photo of Rich Eisen every day until he came on the bus. This is day 780. He's
Yes.
still going strong.
Still
And
strong.
now this next week, we start to break down, we audit, we look at all of his tweets dating back 780 days. And if there are flaws, that we built some parameters in the episode that you guys will hear, you guys will listen to. And I encourage all listeners, if you're on X, do the homework yourself too. Like, keep us in the loop. Maybe there's something we missed. Help us uncover every stone in these last 780 days, because Jack is fighting for an opportunity to win a Chevy Silverado. If he did not miss a day, he will be gifted a Chevy Silverado from the boys to Jack for tweeting a photo every day of Rich Eisen. Jack, how are we feeling? Obviously, we had Rich on. How have you felt?
Oh,
Talk
I feel
about
good,
your emotion
man.
going into it.
2.5 years in the making. It's just one of those things we've been working for a while. I mean, I've got a niece. She's only a year and a half old, and I'm like, man, you don't even know the lore that's been going on in my life. Like, I've been working for you, So this all goes out to my niece, Izzy. This is for you. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it's been a fun run. And we got to figure out a new guest, I think.
I think we do, because it kind of feels like we should just hang it up with Bussin with the boys now we've gotten Rich on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It
we'll
feels that
see.
way.
And maybe it's a sitting president. Maybe it's Taylor Swift. I don't know. Comment in the YouTube who we should go after next.
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh,
Ryan.
that yeah.
Ryan
maybe
and
Ryan and Hugh. That is a
At
lot
the
of
same
words
time.
to be typing out. 2 tags. You realize, I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but after 2.5 years tweeting the same thing every day, it's just like it weighs on you, I don't know how though I move forward not having Rich in my life every day. That is something I'm not prepared for. I know I'm excited for it, but it's bittersweet. So I don't know.
Confidence level 0 to 100.
101.
Wow.
Actually 780, So no, I'm excited. And Rich is just such a great interview. He's been in the media realm for 20 plus years, and it felt like he was driving this podcast, where it was almost he was interviewing y'all.
Yeah, I know.
And
He's
the
very good at
guy
his job.
he's quick, and he can get a little nasty sometimes.
He can get nasty.
And he's a guy you don't want on your bad side, I've realized.
For sure.
If you come at him, he's coming at you with 3 more things. So
I will say to the Ohio boys, you're lucky Rich Eisen's not here right now to defend Michigan. I can only do so much. My brain has taken too many shots, but Rich, he's pure blood. Yeah, he's sharp. He's with it.
He just talks about how they got away with it.
He lying like a rug.
I mean, ultimately, you guys still won the national title.
Yeah. And we beat y'all 45-7.
Yeah, but you guys are sign stealing.
We didn't need to steal signs to do that, brother.
Yeah, you guys did. It wouldn't have been that bad.
You
It
don't
would
think
not
so?
have been. No, we would have covered.
What do you think the score?
We would have covered.
What was it? What was the
It
line?
was like
20?
20.
We would have covered.
Yeah, we would have covered. No, we got.
They got bum rushed.
Remember
again.
that
It
was
like
when we were
33 to
at
6.
Michigan in the elements. The year before, though, Aiden Hutchinson senior year, they kind of took that game from us.
Yeah.
Adrian Martinez did not fumble the ball. Remember that last drive? We were driving to win.
All right. Hey,
I know.
It's
You're
all
right.
good, man.
You're right.
it's
You're
all
right, you're right.
good.
I'm out of control.
Yeah. So the audit is taking place at this moment. I will say, good news for you is the record only goes back to I think like day 108.
Why's that?
I don't know.
The record?
The Rich Eisen tweeting at him. I could only find all the way down to it stopped loading after like day 108 of tweeting at Rich Eisen until he comes on Bussin with the boys.
gotcha.
I'm impressed you got past like 750.
Whoa.
I mean, no, that's not
No,
like
yeah,
a
me and
shot.
technology is not
It's
great.
just-
I mean, I know who I am.
yeah,
That
Absolutely.
was a heavy shot at your brain.
Yeah, that's
that's more-
technology.
yeah.
That's technology.
I think he'll be the first to tell you
Yeah.
he's not the most tech savvy guy, but
No.
he's there. He's there and he's ready to learn.
Yeah,
He's eager.
I put some work in on this. I've gone through the audit.
Yeah.
I've worked.
Yeah.
And we will find out next week on next week's episode.
I'm fired up.
Oh,
I'm
so it's
fired up.
next week. So, but just to clarify, as of today, we're done tweeting though because Rich is on the bus.
I think if you want to tweet at him, you can. It doesn't, but it's not going to change anything.
For the
Yeah,
love of the
yeah.
game.
Today's
You were
the
just
final
saying-
day.
yeah.
Today's the
Yeah,
final day.
right.
You
You're
were
right.
just saying how you're going
Right.
to miss Rich. If you want to do it for
Yesterday
the love of
was
the game,
final. Well, it's tomorrow. I guess technically he's on the bus, so we'll just make it 781.
Yeah.
Why not?
why not?
You'll throw another one up just for the love of
I
the
might
game.
just go all the way to next
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
Just keep going past it.
Go to
anyways.
1,000.
Yeah, why not? Why not another
Why
year?
not?
Yeah, it's
No
for the love
doubt.
of the game, always.
Did you catch any preseason ball?
I got some clips. Absolutely. I put on the Titans last drive with Will Levis. And it's preseason, so you're never looking at like score or anything like that. I was looking at operation, how guys were handling themselves, game, calls and all that. Titans got a ball club this year. Titans have a ball club. Their play calls were good. It was the first time, I think, in the last 10 years as Titan fans, we can all sit there and say, we don't know what's coming next. A couple of runs, couple of passes, threw a screen in there, some movement. I think that's going to be a good ball club. They stay healthy, they might take the South.
The
boys stay
they're
healthy.
very much good. Yes.
I mean, DeAndre Hopkins already out. Already with the knee injury.
Yeah. But
So,
Calvin Ridley.
It's not looking good. Calvin Ridley. Guy's got, he runs like when you have a performance coach with you and he's like, this is the knee action you want. This is the arm action. That's how he runs.
Yeah.
He runs like you watch the Olympians run.
Pollard and Spears.
A good little double
I know,
header back
man.
there, dude.
I feel
They
like
look good.
That's
That's the key.
The receiver core has obviously been the most notable thing for the Titans. We've have a whole new team, it feels like, on offense, but Tajay and Tony, it's just a way different system with Derek not being here, and I think that is going to be two elite running backs in the NFL this year.
Paul had a couple of great.
Elite. I'm saying
elite.
it right now.
Maybe the best duo in the league, you're saying?
I mean, maybe top 3 for
Potentially.
sure. Potentially number 1.
Potentially number 1. There was a nice one. I think it was the first quarter going into the second quarter. They were kind of on the 5-yard line. They were in like an inside zone with the tight end coming back, and it was Chig, and he had a great block. And I don't know if it was Pollard or Spears, but they made a nice little jump cut, hit it on the backside for a touchdown. It was just great to
I
see
think that was
movement.
Spears.
Great to see that movement behind the line of scrimmage, which Derrick Henry, right? Like he is. There should be a statue of Derrick Henry at the Titans. That was not his forte, is making those types of cuts in the backfield.
And just the boys playing with their hair on fire.
Just playing hard.
Dude, I know it's
And-
early. But
Yeah.
it seems like this could be one of the more fun years for the quarterback position. I feel like the young rookies look good. JJ McCarthy looked good.
Looked fantastic.
Caleb Williams looked incredible.
I only saw
Jaden
one.
Daniels
I only saw
looked
him with
good.
that great throw on the sidelines where he moved out to the right and he threw it.
You didn't see his little Patrick Mahomes screen?
No, I did not see his Patrick Mahomes screen. Fantastic.
Yes. I think it's going to be an exciting year for quarterbacks.
Did you see the clip of two guys at a Bears practice, essentially dogging Caleb on how his look, but he's the number 1 overall pick?
No.
They're like, look at him. 0 swag, 0 anything, first overall pick. They seem like they got themselves a little squad here. That's going to be a fun week 1, Titans versus Bears. That'll be a fun little get after it game.
Big Cat's already claiming that Caleb Williams is the chosen one.
I'm sure he is. And like Big Cat keeping clean slates for everybody, I'm not going to dog the Chicago Bears. I'm not going to dog them.
Yeah, I think a lot to be excited about, though.
But I
He
know the
looked
early
good. He looked
line is
sharp.
like Bears are favored by 4.5 in this game against the Titans. I think take Titans money line all day on that one. The way
I mean, you just look at the
looking good.
North. If J.J. McCarthy and Caleb Williams with Jared Goff, Jordan Love, I mean, dude,
That's
it's going to
a-
be a fun year.
that is
The
a fun
AFC
year.
South, you got Will Levis,
CJ Stroud,
Lawrence,
and Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson.
And if he just
Which
stays
that one,
healthy,
at that
bro.
one, it's like, and I'm part of it too. I'm excited for Anthony Richardson, but I feel like he has so much hype. Like he's the most hyped quarterback
Who,
that
which one? Richardson?
hasn't done a whole lot yet.
5 games of was awesome.
Yeah,
His
5
first
games
5
was
games
awesome.
were great. It was fun to watch, exciting. One guy is flown under the radar, and our man Hovey, the groom to be, has called him out. Spencer Rattler.
From the jump, man. I don't know why nobody would
Hey,
listen.
back in Arizona too, in his home state, getting after
and you
it.
saw it. Felt good to be back
Yeah.
home.
Just it was cool to see.
The
2-minute drill.
Yeah, 2-minute drill.
2-minute drill was nice.
No other rookie quarterback
Hey,
did that.
Stetson Bennett even?
Next. Bro, Stetson Bennett's 30.
Well, he's playing in a grown man's game now. He looked comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him, but
Are you?
we're
happy
all
for him?
eyes on Rattler right
Yeah,
now.
all
We're
eyes
all
on
eyes
Rattler.
on
all
Rattler.
eyes on
Now,
Rattler.
do you think Rattler takes over the QB spot this year?
Probably like week 10, week 11. That seems to be the sweet spot for Derek Carr, where every single year, no matter what team he's on, you get to week 10, week 11, the fans are ready. Like, get DC out.
Damn.
We'll see.
Wouldn't mind if he sat all year and then
Damn.
started next year.
Right. Take a full year to develop, not get
Yeah.
thrown in when like pressure is
Right.
like weirdly high. They want the starter out.
Yeah, but if you're calling for a starting quarterback's head week 10 or week 11, it's probably the season's not looking great for you guys.
But not with Derek Carr. I feel like they're
I mean, they
always
were kinda-
right there.
Yeah, I
And
was gonna say they were like in it all year last year
Yeah.
because the South wasn't that
It
competitive.
wasn't that competitive. Yeah.
I know you saw. I know you had to see the clip of Jameis Winston giving a pregame speech. To
No,
the
I
Browns.
didn't, but
It's
I
incredible.
can't imagine.
I mean, he's a Hall of Famer.
He's a
He's a
Hall of
he's
Fame
a
speech
Famer.
giver.
First
no
ballot.
question about
First
it.
ballot, bro.
Just watching him and Vrabel sprint during every practice to go warm up.
I think you have to put him in the Hall of Fame just so he can give a speech. Just so he can be at the ceremony and give a speech.
I don't see any problem with that at all.
Yeah,
It wouldn't hurt the integrity of those statues at all.
I think everybody would be on board with it.
No question.
Where do you think he goes after football? I feel like he's either got to be a pastor or a coach.
I would love to see him
Yeah.
as a pastor. That would be outstanding.
Yeah. I think he might dabble in some media, but ultimately, I think he'll want to be around the game. He'll want to be around influencing the next generation.
He should write speeches in football movies.
He would have to act. That's the thing about Jameis is I feel like he's so unique. Like, who else could be Jameis? You know what I mean? If he writes for somebody else. You don't know how to write for anybody else. He knows how to write for
Cuba
himself.
Gooding Jr.
He could definitely play himself in a movie.
Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah, man, it's exciting having the football season just right around the corner.
We're
We're right there.
Did you catch any of the reps on the new kickoff rule?
Yeah, I saw the Titans had themselves a nice little 65-yard run.
They did.
On this little deal right here. I don't fully understand. You can't. There's like a little zone between the 20 and the end zone. If it lands in there,
Landing
then
zone.
something happens. If it doesn't,
My
you can't
brother-in-law-
move to the returner catches it.
My brother-in-law explained it pretty well. So from where the kickoff is, it makes kickers not just rely on touchbacks. If you send it into the back of the end zone, I believe it goes to the 40.
Right.
And if you don't hit it between
Is it the 40?
or the 30,
I was gonna say,
there's
okay.
one though. If it's short of the 20 to the goal line, it goes to the 40 because there's one stipulation where you can go all the way to the 40.
I know usually if you kick it out of bounds, it goes out to the 40.
Big
Yeah,
penalty.
But maybe
Big
if
penalty.
it's super.
But yeah, it has to land in that zone from goal line to the 20-yard line, which it feels weird right now, but I do like that kickers are now forced to be strategic about it, and they got to place it there. And I feel like we're going to see a lot more returns. And my favorite thing about it is that kickers are going to be very involved in plays. They have to make tackles. I've already seen a few kickers like have to get in the mix. And I'm ready to see some guys land the wood. So I think that'll be fun.
I like it, man. I think it's like as close to an offensive defensive play as you can get because you take all the running out of it and sprinting out of it, which hats off to those guys who don't have to just sprint mindlessly for a touchback anymore. But I'm into it.
And
You
there's
get to
only
just
one line
play-
of defense too.
Yeah.
Like you break that's where you get the kicker involved. Like he's essentially just deep, hoping to God they get him down.
I think as it develops too, there'll be more strategy on the receiving end, trying to like set up blocks differently. Some will fail massively, but I think people are going to start taking like chances, risks to figure out how they can best set up the play.
I know. I love seeing the development of special teams games. Just like the field goal, for instance, when it was the Patriots who they had the guy on the sideline, and he would start running, and then he'd see the hand, and then he'd get in there and make a block. Then you see like 4 or 5 other teams doing it. That's like the biggest definition of a copycat league is the special teams realm.
Oh,
you see a little bit of success, and everybody starts doing it, just constantly evolving.
Yeah,
It's
or
gonna be a lot of fun.
taking a trick play back from like 8 years ago that happened to him.
Like had it like grainy film, they're showing it in the team meeting room. Like, boys, this is what we're doing this way. And you're thinking, there's no fucking way this is gonna work. And then it does.
Yeah.
Hey, Will, can you take us kind of in the mind of a special teams guy? Because in preseason, obviously, after the first half of a game, as a fan perspective, people start leaving the stadium. You're like, whatever, we got a few more games. But for special team guys in punt formation specifically, I get super fired up about them because as someone who's undrafted, it's like they're fighting for their families on these like 1 or 2 reps they get. Can you just like take us to the mindset where you're like, I need this rep, I need this tackle to make like a 53-man roster?
Take us on a journey, Willie.
You guys
us
want a
nice little
journey? So you're basically saying like it's like unpopular to watch the special team. You're just saying like what is the mindset of these guys who are fringe guys?
Yeah, I had this moment where I was like, this means so much to these guys, these 1 reps, and it kind of fired me up where I'm looking at punt formations and I'm like, this means a lot. More than a lot of these other guys that got their shoulder pads off on the sideline. It's like the nerves are probably going crazy, and then half the stadium's empty. But for you, it's like this is the final interview, or could be. So where's your mind at?
So when I was on practice squad the first year, I would say my knock is I wasn't very good on special teams because I didn't really do it in college. But I feel like when you're on those units, and you can say you're a depth player. I could play linebacker. I could back up either spot. I could do all those things. So you'll be thrusted into roles of like, hey, can you fill, whether it's right guard, whether we have a need at left tackle, right wing, where you can play on the punt team. The punt team is the most important unit for guys who are on the fringe, because ultimately that's the biggest trust one. Kickoff, you can run down and hit where you're not running anymore. So honestly, you're going to see those guys who are gunners on punt team. Those guys can still make their money being gunners on punt team. But now that kickoff is out of it, you'll have more of those depth guys who played, backup, whether it's tight end, running back, receiver, linebacker, safety. And those reps on punt team are the most important reps that you will have, because ultimately you're not being looked at as the guy who's going to be out there starting on the field. Whereas, okay, he's a good depth guy, but can he play special teams? And more specifically, like, where can you play him on punt? The more you can do on punt team, guard, tackle, wing, the better your chances are, because if you can't play on special teams, it doesn't matter how good of a backup you are. You won't be on you won't be on the game day roster until you can get up to speed on playing those. So those truly are the most important reps, and they get graded insanely detailed with the special teams coordinator. And those guys who are like trying to make that roster, it is legitimately, can you play multiple spots on the punt team? That is your best shot at making the team if you're a fringe guy. If you're a gunner, if you can beat double teams, you can play for a long time. You look at what was his name? Slater made a career out of that. Ebner, he was a big special teams guy. Who knows how competent they were as backups, but the fact that they get to play special teams at a very high level allowed them to have a career at that. If you're somebody who's more of a depth guy who plays more on the field, you have to have some level of competence, like playing special teams, or you won't play. It is legitimately, you go out there and all you think to yourself is, I need to have one tackle this game.
And if you sit there as a fan and you want to watch real football in a preseason, you got to wait to that second half, because that's when bullets are truly flying. It is so intense, and every rep does mean everything to those guys. And it sucks when you see dudes that you can see kill it. They have like 10 tackles or whatever, and they just, for whatever reason, the numbers don't make sense. They get the call
right
at the end of those cuts, because it's a wild time. Preseason's so different for so many different people just going into it.
The urgency, like the weird what is it, like just fight or flight, just that is happening in your brain chemically, like going out on the field trying to like make the most of your, whether it's special teams reps. Like if you're slow to get off a block, you're just cussing yourself out in your head like, fuck, coach is gonna hate this.
Right. This might be the end of me.
This might be the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's so small. The margin for error is so small.
Right. Because preseason, like ultimately you're trying to look for your starter. You're trying to see your starters have some operation out there, like feel good going into the first week. Fans, they're excited to see the guys who are going to start. Who do they get to watch? Is the starting quarterback going to get some snaps, and see who's going to round out certain depth? But the second half stuff, nobody necessarily cares about, but there's so much happening in that second half.
All of the articles that are coming out about the rookies and the starters and how good everybody looks, it's all fluff right now. Everything's just fluff, because it's like these guys are getting like 15 snaps. It's like, wet your beak a little bit, get out there, get loose, feel the fans, feel the operation, all that stuff. But the real stuff is the things people aren't writing about, which is that second half.
Mm-hmm.
There might be a couple of things like, hey, this guy looks good, that guy, but you really don't know. Like, that's where the stuff really matters right now in the preseason.
And the guys who are like in the 90, like probably 70 to 90 range, trying to make the roster, the 53, like if they have a good like second half on the field, you'll notice them more on like the first team unit reps with special teams. You'll see that like coaches are trying to give them the shot to see if they can, basically play special teams, because they know they got somebody. Whether, again, in my situation, hey, we have somebody who can play linebacker, but can he play special teams? Mm-hmm. All 4 units too.
Yeah, young guys, man. If you think you're just a defensive specialist, get in those special team reps and practice.
Even offensive guys, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're a backup receiver or running back, like you got to play special teams. You might be great out of the backfield. You might be a good third down back, but you might not be the starter. You have to play special teams.
Every roster spot matters, even for the offensive line. Like if you're an interior guy and you can't play center and both guards, it's like, it's not how this league works anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a year to develop those types of things. It's so
cutthroat. Yeah, for linemen too. Like if you can't be a swing guy, if you're a true depth player,
yeah,
if you're like second team, maybe you got to be able to play like multiple positions.
Right. It is funny how different it is, because you got guys that are just chilling on the sidelines. You get done with however many reps you have, and then seeds in the mouth, unbuckle the shoulder pads, and you're just watching a football game. You have the best seats in the house.
And
other guys, it's
always interesting too, because you've alluded to it, being at an elite level of a left tackle. The quote the more you can do doesn't necessarily.
The more you do, the less you get paid.
Yeah, the more you do, the less you get paid. Whereas like me coming up, I'm thinking I gotta figure out how I can play every different thing on punt team because that is how ultimately I would get paid.
Right. And there was never, I could literally play, I've said this a bunch of times in this podcast, I could play one position and that was it. I was not good at anything else. Put me at the right side, put me at guard, anything, it was terrible. My rookie year with my Michael Ruse and Michael Orr, they got Michael Orr in free agency to play the right tackle. So when I came in, it was swing and I was playing guard in my rookie camp. And it was just, the only time I even showed any glimmer of hope at all was at left tackle. I was praying to the gods that nobody else went down except for Michael Ruse. If somebody was to go down, please make it Michael Ruse.
Right.
And luckily, shout out you, Michael Ruse. You did go down week 5.
Dude,
appreciate you, dog.
I hated special teams. I know ultimately that's how I got to play. I just overall, you wanted to be out there and just playing linebacker. Because when you're just not the fastest guy, you know, the boys I got shorter arms, so it was always a little bit more difficult. I love playing like guard on punt because you're protected a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I remember when Adam Hayward came in my second year, he's like, hey, doesn't matter how well you can play linebacker. If you're not like the guy or the starter, like I'm going to have to teach you how to play special teams. And shout out the boy Adam Hayward because he was always keeping me after practice and doing things to where ultimately I think he was trying to help show the special teams coordinator that I'm willing to do all these different things underneath him because he was the captain. But yeah, if it wasn't for like Adam and some of those guys, because you just hated going out there on 4th down.
Yeah.
You want to hit your 3. Like when I was getting to play, I would still have to be on like punt team or kickoff return. Yeah. They would save my legs by not putting me on kickoff.
Yeah, but punt team's tough because you got maximum effort and then you're starting 1st down.
Yeah, bro. And then you hope it's like a televised game, so there's like a TV timeout.
Yeah. God. Yeah.
Or if you know they're about to go down and get tackled, you start to slow up a little bit.
That level of stress has got to be so crazy.
Yeah, more when I was playing, it was more of like, oh God, this kind of sucks. I have to go out here on 4th down.
Because when you get into the season, part of me be like, damn, these special teams guys kind of got it made. Because I'm playing every single snap on offense.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things can go wrong, but not even really thinking about how their life is hell. At any moment they can get cut for a new guy coming in.
Yeah.
One team cuts this guy and like, well, this guy's probably a little bit better. So they switch him out. It's just got to be so hard.
Dude, man. I saw one cat, man, I forget his name. He was a linebacker. We had a Thursday night game. And so it was later in the year too. So we didn't really practice like with pads on. It was walkthrough all week long.
Yeah.
And it was his first game. He got called up from practice squad. He was a solid little linebacker, but he was the wing. He was the left wing on punt. And he got beat with an up and under against the Giants. And they cut him the next day.
No shit.
Yeah. And you felt for him because you felt like he didn't get like a true fair shake because his position wasn't wing on the punt team. It was more of like guard or tackle. And he was a practice squad guy, but he got called up to play wing. And the only job of a wing is like, don't get beat on an up and under to get it blocked.
Right.
He got it blocked and they sent him fucking
Gotta have tempo in that pass set, brother. Gotta have tempo. Tough living.
Yeah. Yeah. Tough for the
little
boys.
PTSD for you there, huh?
Yeah, you just hated to see it. Yeah, like because I think I was in my 3rd year, and I was like, I remember trying to talk to the special teams coordinator that it was just like, hey, I know we ended up winning that game, and you kind of like tried to save him essentially, like, hey, like we didn't practice all week, and he never got a live look at the up and under, and ultimately the guy who hit him on the up and under was obviously notorious for the up and unders, but he was somebody who was very capable at all times of like blocking a punt. So he's going up against somebody really good. And so you just felt like he didn't get he was done after that. You know what I mean?
Did he ever show back up?
No, I don't think he made it on another team or another roster. Because once you ultimately put that out there, you get beat on an up and under, you get cut the next day, like nobody's jumping at it. It's like, okay, he must have done more than just allow an up and under.
Yeah.
Even those guys who like, again, to Jack's point, in preseason, you're going through all these mental gymnastics of trying to make the team. You're on practice squad. You're doing everything possible to try to stick around. And you get thrown out there Thursday night football, get beat on an up and under, and your career's pretty much done. It sucks.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
And it's different layers too. Like there's guys, so many guys want to be in the league right now, but like even going to Boost and seeing there's a couple of guys that are camp started, preseason games are going, and there's a couple of guys just waiting on a call. Getting a workout, just hoping to God something happens where you can get a call. It's a tough life to live.
Yeah.
Just to keep a dream alive.
Right, because ultimately you don't know if the door is going to open back up for you. Nobody, especially when you're young, you're not willing to fully shut the door because ultimately your identity and being is wrapped up.
Well, you're
in
like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
What's next for me? It's scary. It's
Yeah.
a scary transition for sure. What's never scary though is game time. Anytime you need those tickets for the best prices, you know what to do. Did you know that you can get tickets at the ball game, at the basketball game, at the football games coming up right now? We got Bears versus Titans week 1. That's a nice little spot for the Game Time app. That's right. Thanks to Game Time, the official partner of Barstool Sports. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is fast and easy way to buy tickets to all sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. They have flash deals for sudden discounts, zone deals when you're feeling a little bit flexible, and their lowest price guarantee means that if you can find the same seats for less anywhere else, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time is the best place for last-minute seats with up to 60% off your favorite events. So what are you waiting for, boys? I'm going to buy those. What am I going to buy, dude? What am I going to buy right now? What do I want to get?
St. Louis Cardinals baseball tickets.
What? I know the Preds got a big season coming up, dude. I might have to grab the little Preds tickets out there because that is, you want to talk about an environment. Preds have figured it out in that arena, dude. You need to get that in the Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BUSSIN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, that is use code BUSSIN for 20% off your first purchase. Download Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, and that is a guarantee.
Guaranteed. Oh, for Nashville, isn't the MLB team the Braves?
What the Sounds? AAA
No,
ball.
I know AAA ball, but I'm
is
saying
it a feeder
people in
team? No,
Nashville.
I believe is it Chicago? Yeah. Yeah.
Which Chicago team?
like if
They're
you're a
the White
Nashville
Sox.
native, who do you usually pull for? in
Oh,
MLB?
yeah. Braves or the
Braves?
Cardinals. Yeah, I see.
Oh,
what you're saying
Cardinals.
now. I grew up
Let's
with
go.
it's majority Braves, and then you have like I'd say 70-30 Cardinals split,
Yeah.
and then you got your random Mitches of the world. They're like the Yankees.
Because I want to say, I think, yeah. I want to say, like in the farm or in the minor system, there's a Memphis Cardinals team. Like I think the Cardinals are.
they might be
they
double
might
A.
have- Yeah. They might have like a Cardinals team.
Yeah. He's saying in Memphis. I'm
I
not
think.
sure though.
You can fact check me, but I believe it was Cardinals has a minors team or in the farm system in Memphis.
There's one more thing about the Titans game I want to talk about. There's been a debate about the OG pain train, and you were in a little bit of a scuffle this weekend, Jackie. You
Yeah.
said that no OG pain train going into the fourth.
No OG pain train.
People are saying you spoke too soon. What was the situation with that? Because I know all the fans are clamoring.
Yeah,
for the OG
I know.
pain train.
Me as a diehard Titans fan, I did not leave at half because I care about these reps. I care about the special teams guys, and I'm in there. I'm in there losing my voice. But no OG pain train video. They played the normal pain train video, but what we're looking for is the old what's his name Terry
Tate, office linebacker.
Yeah, and we need that one back with the Folsom Prison Blues going into fourth quarter. I think it's what we need. We have a new system, a new team. So what better thing to do than bring back an old tradition, you know? And
Gotta
let's
have it.
reinstill those values. So I do hope, though, they're saving it for that first home opener. It's the Jets week 2. So I think it'd be great. We'll beat the absolute dog shit out of New York. And then fourth quarter comes around. We all throw them up. And then Terry comes on the
dog
screen. And, you know, it's back to the Mike Fisher days.
I love
8
it.
and
man.
8.
Jack, it fires me up that you stay for the entirety of a preseason game.
It was beast. It really was. It was just fun just being in the stadium again. And we were talking about this earlier. Nashville, during this time of year in August, it usually is miserably hot during the time. And we got a historic weather day on Saturday.
bro.
It
It's
was
been
a
a
nice
few
little.
days,
It was a
man.
nice little fall
I
preview.
think it maybe hit like 82, 83 tops, and there was like very little humidity. So by the time it was like 6 or 7 when that Titans game started, there was a little breeze going. You just can't beat it when you're in Nashville and the weather actually is there for you and not against you. You're like, yeah, I see why everybody wants to move here now, but we probably won't get another one of those days until October. So,
Hey,
but
we're still, knock on wood, it's been a nice day today.
been a nice
today
day
is
today.
a nice day. Yeah,
Who
shout out,
knows, man.
shout out.
And we had a
God.
great spring too. It makes you think you're gonna have a great fall.
We had a great spring this year. I know you
know.
talked about for years
I've
that
dogged it for years.
I think all that dogging kind of
Nashville
set a
needed a
fire
villain.
under the
they
weather.
needed a villain,
Nashville
and I'm
needed
willing
a
to be that
villain.
villain if it gives me a great spring and fall.
I'm willing. we thank you for real.
You guys are welcome. You guys are welcome.
Should we do shout out, no free shout out?
I'm down. You want to go first? A Shout Out No Free Shout Out is presented by Duke Cannon. It's the off season. That means it's time to elevate your game by working harder and smelling better with your friends from Duke Cannon. Throw away your old body wash and deodorant because you smell like a JV locker room. Upgrade to Duke Cannon for a varsity level grooming routine. Duke Cannon scents are elite and their products are made for hard-working dudes. I want to talk to you about this little trophy game right here. Yes, Michigan is not playing Nebraska this year, which is the Bussin Bowl, which is what this beautiful scent was based off of. But all of our hopes going into the fall, all of our teams are 12-0. All of our teams are winning the championship. And the only way to be a champion is to also smell like a champion. As always, the boys got a special code just for the Tier 1s. Use code TIER1 on DukeCannon.com for 15% off your first order. Duke Cannon, work harder, smell better. Let's have a day.
I don't know mine yet.
I don't know mine either.
I actually have
Let's
one.
make the boys. We
Yeah,
got the
boys,
boys
shout
on
out,
Black
shout out, no free
Friday.
shout out.
Yeah, what's a shout out, no free shout out?
Shout out, no free shout out to impromptu trips. So like this, so I forgot my boy Clay, he lives down here. So I haven't seen him in a while. And it's just kind of nice when you're in a city or like going to like a game or something and you're like, oh yeah, one of my boys lives there. Haven't seen him in a while. And then you catch up, you go to the bar, and it's just like you picked up right where you left off.
Love
So-
that. It's a good shout out.
That is
Good
outstanding.
shout out for the show.
Mm-hmm.
Clay, Will.
Shout out, no free shout out to my boys right here, man. Coming down, visiting.
Can't ever
Hey, we got a little rowdy.
Can't ever be a shout out to the boys.
To the boys. Got a little rowdy on a Sunday. Went to Broadway. It was a good time, just like old times. I haven't seen him in a while, so it was just good. It was good to have him. Went golfing too. It was fun. Played 9. It was cool.
Shout out the boys, man.
Shout out the boys.
Will, what do you got?
Shout out, no free shout out. The people who hand out the samples at the grocery store. And they don't care how many you got. Saturday, I was at the lake. We went to Walmart. I was pretty blitzed. They're handing out like these, like fresh fried chicken. And I probably had like a pound of chicken. Dude just kept handing them.
Yeah.
Didn't give a fuck.
Hell yeah.
Those people are the real troopers of America.
I love that. Good shout out. Jack, you had one?
I do. And it kind of goes along with the preseason. My shout out over shout out goes to seeing guys at the Titan Stadium in our merch, and especially seeing them from afar because you're like, yeah, they're out there. But specifically, I was walking back into my seat and I see a guy on the phone, and then I just see him so aggressively hang up, and he's just beelines for me. And I'm like, okay, I'm either in trouble or he's a Bussin fan. And he's like, dude, I'm here on a bachelor party. I'm from Medellin, Colombia. He goes, I love Bussin with the boys. He
Vinny
goes,
Chase.
he was like,
Vinny Chase.
He's like, Beer Olympics is awesome. He's like, fuck Portnoy, y'all did it. And he's like, and he's literally born and raised in Medellin, Colombia. So the fact that we're making waves down in South America fired me up. And he wanted me to tell you guys, hey, and I was like, you're getting the shout out this
Hell
week.
yeah, dude,
so
that's
shout out to
awesome.
Martin Gomez from Medellin,
Martin
Colombia.
Gomez.
Yeah.
Shout out the boy Martin Gomez.
A shout out Dayton, Ohio. Shout out, no free shout out Dayton, Ohio. Was just up there for a wedding. Shout out, no free shout out the whole city, but specifically college bars. Just so sleepy. You order a shot, you get it in a plastic Dixie cup. Everything's like $2. The entire wedding party shut down this bar called Flanagan's, and it hit, dude. Y'all live in a great city.
And it hit.
Dude.
I'm gonna shout out San Diego. I was just out there this past weekend.
Flag football tournament?
No, I went out there with the girlfriend and
Oh, girlfriend.
yeah.
Oh, hard launch.
So went to her hometown in the Valley, Santa Clarita, and then drove down. What's it called? So her hometown is actually called Stevenson Ranch. And being the massive Mike fan that I am, I thought it was hilarious. And it was sick to like, this is the home of the Steves. And I felt like I was home. But then we went down to San Diego, and that place might be it. I mean, you got the beaches everywhere. It's like a bunch of young professionals, downtown, sick. The weather is just like the perfect fall day, even in the summer. And like you can go down to the harbor. There's a bunch of food spots down there. It was awesome. So yeah, shout out the West Coast.
Shout out the West Coast.
My shout out, no free shout out, is going to go to Tomato Fest in East Nashville. Nothing beats a good neighborhood festival that gets the entire neighborhood together. You're walking around, there's vendors, there's food, there's music. And I really need to shout out this band, Zip Zap, who just melted our faces off as soon as we got there. Jack ran into the guy a couple times, and we might be their biggest fans. Their reaction was kind of like, yeah, it was great. It was, it just gets the neighborhood together. If you're in Nashville, I recommend going. And then, that weather was just money. So it was a 10 out of 10 day.
Love that.
Zip Zap.
Zip Zap.
What kind of band are they?
Like rock. Like they got long solos and they give a shit about
They give a shit. Hell yeah. Yeah, it's
Oh,
6
God,
dudes in
hate
that
it, bro.
band.
Solos are fine. It's fully produced songs that are 12 minutes that I have a problem with.
He loves Fish.
Yeah, no, I know Fish. My shout out, no free shout out. We were talking about it earlier. The welcome party for my wedding is going down on Friday. And I was talking with Will, and we are talking about maybe we get a little biggest splash contest going, best
Yes,
trick
sir.
contest. But the shout out goes to the line at the diving board pre-contest.
Yeah.
The anticipation, the
Butterflies.
yes, you have true butterflies. And then when you put your hands on the two little things, get that wine back, it's like, this is it. Either I become a legend in this neighborhood in this
Yeah.
next moment, or I can never come to the diving board again.
Or
Then if you
forgotten
land it, you
forever.
feel like a superhero.
Right. You come out of the water just waiting for the reaction.
Yeah,
The
with a little
lifeguard
grin
is
on your
like,
face.
you get the approval of the lifeguard?
Just a small nod.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Get up.
he's in that chair because he was once on the board.
Yeah,
So
he earned it.
He earned it. So that's my shout out.
That makes me sick.
Love that. Me?
I can go if you want.
Go ahead.
All right. My shout out, no free shout out, is going to go to getting horny for food with the boys.
Yeah.
Dude, last week, Willie and I were in Chicago and we landed, and I'm thinking, hey, you want to do a little fast? You want to fast for like 24-hour fast? And I was like, yeah, fuck it. And then right around 3 o'clock, the hunger hits. And not only.
Taylor asked me too when we were in the middle of that shoot, shout out Game Time. He's like, hey, you trying to fuck some food up? Or he's like, what are you trying to do? You trying to keep the fast going? I was like, hey, you're my leader, bro. I'm following you. I am not going to be a bad influence. I'm down to do it the rest of the day with you, but just know your boy is starving.
Bro, the whole entire ride from Barstool HQ to the airport, and then in the airport we just talked about breakfast foods until our flight took off. Then we just talked about what we were going to fuck up as soon as we landed, because that was when the fast was supposed to end. Then literally we land, and Will and I walked to the Slim and Huskies, and I had food waiting for me at home, but I literally sat there with Will and waited for his pizza to come out just to look at it. And it was, we were horny. We were
Yeah.
horned up for that food.
Pizza was gone. I didn't even wait till I got home.
I know. I was at the valet. By the way, much better experience at the valet I had. Much better experience. But you were halfway through that thing when I saw you next.
Walking and
It's
eating, bro.
crazy.
This was like, what was it? 8 p.m. was the time?
Yeah, 8 p.m.
Oh, I was
It
so
was-
hungry.
Man,
And
it
when we were getting like lined up for our flight too, it was kind of the hangriness was starting to like creep in a little bit.
Some guy started asking us how many beers are we going to smash in this flight.
Oh my God, that guy, bro. Take a fucking hike. I'm not drinking a beer with you.
Yes. And he basically called us pussies. Like,
But it was a little over the top. He's like, hey, how many we crush on this flight? I was like, oh, no, I'm not drinking. He said, you're not drinking? I was like, no, man, it's a school night. I think it was Tuesday
yeah.
or Wednesday. And he just kept harassing me about drinking. I was like, bro, I'm not drinking with you. He's like, oh, don't be a pussy. And then I hear him talking to Taylor. I throw in my AirPods just to make it seem like, dog, I'm done talking to you. And he's like harassing Taylor all the way down the tunnel. Like, come on, man, just have one with me. I can't believe you guys aren't drinking. And I'm thinking at that point, bro, shut the fuck up.
Grumpy Will was out. Hungry Grumpy Will.
Internally,
Hangry
I
Will.
was handling. I was like,
You were handling
yeah,
business. But we sat down and then we put a pause on the horny food talk.
Because I thought he was going to sit. I thought he was going to go middle seat by us.
If he sat in the
I
middle
was going to
seat with
move.
us.
I was moving. I would
Yeah.
have moved.
Would you have?
Yes.
You know, my
1000%.
bitch ass would have sat there and been like, man, that's crazy. He did that. And then have to talk to him the entire flight.
You see me just get up and kind of disappear. Like, oh, let me get something out of my bag, and then I'm just in the back
grab your
somewhere.
bag, go sit in the middle
God,
seat
bro.
somewhere.
I was tight. That dude was pissing me
I
off.
know.
Like, bro,
Will-
we're not having a drink.
Will
Not
and
having
I get in a
drink with you.
conversation with a guy on the way to Chicago, and we almost missed our flight. Almost missed our flight to Chicago. The whole plane boarded.
Yeah, we were the last ones on. We were A1 and 2, and then we got on last, and I'm sitting in the middle seat just.
And I did walk on the plane before Will, and there was a one window seat left, and I sniped it.
I look back, I was like, hey, I should have been in front of you. He's like, you want it? I was like, no.
Already sitting down, comfortable, bags unpacked.
I'm like looking for another I'm looking for another aisle or window seat, and you just hear people like, oh, the boy, you got on here late. I was like, I'm fucking
Will
A1.
walks down the plane and comes back. I had to come back to go sit in the middle seat.
Yeah.
Brutal. But yeah, shout out being horny for food, dude.
Yeah, shout out. We were horny too,
Dude.
bro.
Insane.
We were horny. My shout out, no free shout out, is going to go to my wife. She is now the owner of the Bar 3 Studios in Nashville. And that has been a goal of hers since I've known her. She was like, is it PwC? Does that sound familiar? Yep. One of the big tax accounting firms. There's like a big 3 or big 5 or something. And she was kind of climbing that corporate ladder, left some good money to basically manage a Bar 3 studio in Washington, D.C., where she didn't really get paid a lot of money at all. Talked her into moving to Nashville, where she ultimately took over and managed the 2 studios here in Nashville. There's an opportunity for us to buy it in like the COVID year, but it was a little high price wise. So we ended up not jumping on it then. She took a franchise ops manager job for HQ out of Portland, which is where the Bar 3 HQ is, to where ultimately she like helps people open up their studios. Mentors is basically a resource for anybody, any owner who opens up a new studio. And the opportunity came up recently for her to acquire the Bar 3 Studios here in the greater Nashville area. So she is now the owner of the Bar 3 Studios here in Nashville. So if you're looking for a little group fitness with some music and some Pilates, yoga,
high energy,
you'll be shaking like a dog shit in peach seeds trying to hold these poses. But you can check that out. You can look that up.
Premeditated line.
That's one of my old man jokes.
Is it?
Yeah,
nice.
My dad, he loves that. After a heavy squat day, yeah. My old man's all about that.
Sherm just pulls up peach seeds.
But yeah, that's my shout out. No free shout out of the week.
Dude, one more for Charles. Let's get one more for Charles. Outstanding. I think it's time to give the people what they want.
We did kind of brush over the fact that it is JP Hovey's wedding week.
That is true. We should go back to it. That's good. That's a good bookmark.
But we can very much, I know everybody's dying to listen to this Rich Eisen episode. But however, we do have to celebrate the boy JP. It's his wedding week. There's been a lot of stress, I assume, leading up to this moment. As married men who went through it, I feel your pain.
Y'all can each give one piece of advice for me and anybody else that might be about to get married.
My advice for the week of leading up is ultimately just put yourself in a mindset of the hay's in the barn. Whatever goes wrong, whatever needs to be fixed is somebody else's job outside of you. Your job is to minimize whatever stress that your partner's feeling, because they want everything to be perfect. It's the biggest day that they've been dreaming about since a little girl. And ultimately they want everything to go perfectly. Even though they might allude at front that they might not want it to, they want everything to go perfectly. So your job, I felt like my job was ultimately like, hey, sweetheart, it's going to be all good. Like this, we're going to get married. We're going to say some awesome vows, and we're going to have a dope party afterwards. And I did that as much as possible because it was ultimately relieve yourself of feeling as stressed out as everybody else is surrounding the wedding. That would be my advice. Like, you get on the plane, or are you driving or flying there?
I'm flying.
Flying there, and it's like, once you get on that flight, bro, just be like, hey, everything else is out of my hands. We're either going to perform, the operation is going to perform. But once everybody shows up for the welcome party, it's just going to be fun from there on out.
It's over.
Yeah, once the first person gets in the pool.
That's all you need. If nobody's in there, trust me, we will be diving in that pool. We'll be getting in that pool. We'll be setting it off. But it should be all fun from here on out, even though I know it's like it gets a little tight, gets a little dicey. You got the parents, you got everybody kind of weighing in on what should happen here, what should happen there. It's like, hey, focus on the vows.
Yeah, I just say expect things to go wrong. Like things that you don't want to happen. Things are going to go wrong, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You're putting rings on the finger. You're saying your vow and you're getting it done. Check all the boxes that you think you need to check. If like saying hello to people, do that as fast and as early as possible. And then after that, be truly intentional about enjoying the wedding. That's because I feel like everybody, you talk to anybody that's been married, it's like, oh yeah, our wedding was fun, but we really don't remember it because it was like so much high stress. We're going through all of it. It's like once you've shook in people's hands, been like, hey, I appreciate you coming. Then it's like, how can we now go away for a second, look at this grand scheme of these 500 people, however many people are at this wedding, and be like, yo, this is sick. This is our wedding take a moment, just the two of you, and then dive into the fun.
Love it.
It's the best too. You'll
Shout
have
out
so much fun,
Sitting.
especially if you black out.
I can't do that. We got on the flight the next day.
You can black out, dude. You can black
It's
out.
the same, bro. And I was blacked out.
Will
The
was
tunes
falling
were
all over
awesome.
the
The
place.
music was awesome.
Nah,
Dude,
it's
it
gonna be
was
fun.
so much fun because everybody's pocket of friends from
Right.
early days, later days, in between, your side, her side, family, everybody coming together and like having a good time and celebrating. Like it is so much fun.
And it's
so
crazy.
much fun.
Obviously, y'all know Sitting. Sitting's awesome.
all time.
And she seriously does not have like a single friend that I don't like. And like everyone she's grown up with that she became friends with in college is like the best. I love going to visit her friends. She feels the same way about my friends. And now that they all get to meet,
It's going
will
to be
be
so
epic.
fun, bro. It's going to
Yeah.
be so fun.
It's gonna be awesome.
And get all your thank yous out to the family, the immediates that Taylor is talking about. You get them first, so that way, because when
Get
you
it
get
done.
around your friends, you're gonna want to be a little longer winded,
right.
to where your wife are like, hey, we gotta move on to the next table.
Yeah.
Get the big ones out early.
Get
My
it,
wife, that sounds crazy.
Yeah, your wife, bro.
Sheesh.
Hey, congratulations on the upcoming sex.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, dude, that's gonna be awesome.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be good.
Well, there's rumors. We're a
8
little worried.
seconds.
Me and Sherman are a little worried about you. You're
That
gonna
I'm gonna
switch up on
change?
us. Yeah, you're gonna change. Come back into the office, leather jacket on, smoking cigarettes. Take a totally different cat.
Oh yeah, we were talking about I might take Taylor's seat when I come back.
Yeah, just all of a sudden this crazy amount of confidence. Like, Taylor, why don't you go sit back there?
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
say yes. I'll be like, hey, my bad, new
I think I see
JP.
an open seat back there.
No, that's gonna be awesome, man. It'll be a fun time. Your wedding was a blast.
Dude, it was. I had
It
so
was a
much
good
fun.
time. Rocky, turbulent in the beginning for me. Horrible, horrible.
Yeah,
But we got through it.
everything was all good until that Rolly came out.
No doubt. No
Taylor
doubt.
might be driving the getaway car, so
Oh yeah, I'm in, dude. I've all
no hiccups.
Anyway,
You found him a roll.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got him a roll.
Yeah,
I know
it's,
the boy.
nothing's
he needs
ever
a roll.
gonna. I'm gonna do the old eye drops, and whoever's doing the wedding, I'm gonna do that to him Saturday afternoon. Hit him with, oh, it's unfortunate he couldn't make it, and I'll save the day.
Sabotage.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Be
even
the hero.
prepared, but I do have this written up.
No. Yeah. Pull it all out.
You
Yeah,
said
man.
you said something earlier there.
What'd I say?
You shooken everybody's hands.
Huh?
Shooken,
Shaking?
shaken.
Shaking?
You know what'll help you?
Grammarly.
Grammarly. You write across multiple platforms and places during your workday, so delivering consistent, high-quality communication everywhere is key. Grammarly is an AI writing partner that helps you get work done faster with high-quality writing for better projects, proposals, presentations, and more. Better writing means a stronger impact. 96% of Grammarly users report that Grammarly helps them craft more impactful writing. Get personalized writing suggestions based on your audience goals and context. Grammarly helps professionals get more done, whether you're trying to phrase it as shooken or shaken. Get AI writing support that works where you work. Sign up and download for free at grammarly.com/podcast. That's GRAMMARLY.com/podcast. Easier said, done. Rich Eisen?
Rich Eisen.
Rich Eisen.
Please enjoy this episode. Subscribe to my post.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is happening.
we got him.
It is going down. This is happening.
772 days. Kicking and
Finally
screaming.
did it. Finally did it. Look at this place.
Is
Really
everything you
nice.
thought it would be?
Everything. It's everything I thought it would be. More comfortable chairs than I thought it would be. There's an old school vibe to it. There's a new school vibe to it. I still don't understand why there's no motor on this thing. I think you'd kill it if you could take this thing around the country. It was my initial reaction when you first told me. I think was that 5 years ago now? When was the draft?
Over 700 days ago.
700 days.
772 days was the time we started to try to get you on
Right,
the bus.
to start. But this goes back to when you came on my show at the draft in Nashville when I was doing my show
That is when
at
it
the
was.
draft. And you're
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm going to do this pod. I'm starting a pod. And I'm like, what's it called? Bussin' with the Boys. Really? Great. That's cool. Like, why is it called Bussin' with the Boys? There's a bus. No kidding. Great. Well, when the bus comes through LA, I'd love to go on it. You're like, there's no motor on it. And I'm like,
oh, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? There's no motor on the bus. And you said, there's no motor on the bus. And on that spot, I'll never forget it. Right there on the show, I decided, okay, I'm going to commit to never appearing on this show until there's a motor on the bus.
Right. Which was a strong stance to take immediately.
And I think I kind of threw you a little bit,
Yeah.
you know, like you didn't expect such a strident opinion coming out of me so
Yes.
quickly. I went from supportive to
The alpha
you know,
male.
Yeah, like
yeah, he really put me in my place.
weirdly
actually.
angry. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
weirdly angry and
Like you
offended.
don't have a motor, and you're
Offended.
not gonna.
Like no, I was offended just on behalf of all broadcasting. You know, like there would be a show based on a bus, but the bus doesn't move. It made no sense.
Yeah. Let me
So-
let me tell you how that made me feel. Because I like to think,
Yeah.
you know, you're the god of the NFL. When
I
people
appreciate
think
you
of
saying
NFL
that.
voices, they
Thank
think
you.
of Rich Eisen.
Okay.
Do they?
And
Well, I mean, at some point they'll get around to it.
yeah, at some point,
Process of elimination.
no
they'll
question.
Wind up, yeah.
Eventually, you just
But
been
thanks,
around
Will. No,
a
really.
long time. And when I'm talking to you, a businessman who
Yeah.
has his voice on a microphone for so long, and then I say, "Hey, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z," and you're
Yeah.
all about it, and then I say one small thing,
Yeah.
and you shut it down. My heart hurt. I thought, man, there's no way this Bussin' with the Boys thing is going to work out of Rich Eisen.
No,
gonna
I mean
refuse to come
that's
on.
not the way I meant it to be. I just kind of meant it to be like a little bit of a bit, then a commitment to the bit, which is the only way a bit works. And
Only
then
way.
and then I
And
would
then not knowing me.
exactly. Then
Yeah.
that's why I would understand the
Hurtful,
animosity
very
that I
hurtful.
feel more from my left, like the heat I'm currently feeling from my left more than. I guess my 10 o'clock position right over
Yeah.
here is that the next part of the bit was to not know who Will Compton was. Like, I'm like, who are you doing it with? And then that was another part of the bit. Then I just hammered that part of the bit down on the ground until, I started watching you take people for a walk on your Twitter account.
Yes.
And
You've done
you
to me a
kind of
couple
won me
times.
over at that point in time. I kind of love the walk. I think that's a funny thing. And then the way you commit to that bit too. So I'm like, okay. Then I started taking you for a walk. And then I don't know when day one started to who came up with the idea of posting a photograph of me every single day until I
I
came
just
on?
kind of.
Organic. Is that an
Well, yeah,
organic
hey,
start?
It was kind of
Recap.
organic. It was conversation.
Matter of fact, let's ask Jack.
Jack, the one who is responsible for posting every day. I'm sure some
Yeah.
of the boys in the back might have happened a couple times.
This
but-
was a little over 2 years ago, and it was a slow summer day, so I was just trying to find anything we can repurpose for content.
Right.
And there was the whole resurfacing, I think, of maybe a clip that you would never come on.
Right.
So I was like, day one, tweeting a photo of Rich Eisen until he comes on the podcast. And the first few days, everyone loves it. And then by about day 12, people are like, all right, this is old already.
I know.
And now we hear our 700 days later, and people
Unreal.
still think it's old. But we never gave up. So
No, I appreciate that you never gave up. Certainly, since there was a Chevy Silverado on the line for you about doing it every single
I was
day.
going to say that whole idea was coming up during a podcast.
it was
right?
about 30 days
were-
in.
yeah, we
and
were
you
talking.
guys
That's
were
right.
like, how committed are you to this? And then we kind of established terms, and then it just took life, and it found legs. And then we're in LA, and we're on the show talking
Yeah.
about it. And I think that was like day 450.
Yeah,
or
that was
something.
last summer.
Right, and then
was like-
the aggressiveness from your passionate fan base,
Yeah.
from the passionate Bussin fan.
You don't want
base.
to cross them.
No, but the fact, and I would reach out to you saying, can you jump in here at some point?
No.
and you didn't.
Hey, not to
no,
mention
like-
you do have a fan base too. Like when it seems like you come through Nashville, and then I'm like, oh, it's great to see you go.
But
It's
I
great
never-
to see you go to other cities and
Hold
go
on
on
a
other
second.
shows.
I never came through. This is the first time
Yeah,
I've been
hold
back
on.
in Nashville.
Edelman's
since the-
podcast. I think he did.
Yeah.
Did you do the pivot? You did Cameron. Cam Newton's podcast.
I did. Pardon my
Can I get
take.
30?
Yeah, get 30.
Can I get
We'll
just
do-
get
I've
30?
never.
We'll do a
I,
quick
this is
time.
my.
We're gonna-
Hold on.
Oh,
First,
Rich, you got to respect the time.
okay.
You
You
got to
guys
respect the
respect the
timeout.
Oh, okay.
You got to respect the
Okay.
timeout.
So
How many of these do you get?
It's really at our discretion.
Yeah.
It's our
Okay,
show.
it's your
This is our
bus.
show.
I got
Yeah.
it. Okay,
We'll
my bad.
start with 3 if
Sorry,
we need to
I'm
maneuver,
usually in
we'll go from
control
there.
whenever
Yeah.
I'm
No,
talking.
So
in
when
front of the microphone.
appreciating the different bits, one that I always enjoy is when
Yeah.
you do go on somebody else's show.
Yeah.
Like crafting some tweet that makes me think that you traveled to everybody else except the boys. And when I do that, there's some Rich Eisen fans out there that come across. He's got better things to do than go on your guys' shitty bus. You guys aren't a real podcast.
Your fans are nasty.
Listen, I I'm gonna say that that's your fans just clapping back at you, just trying to keep you in line, as opposed to
Then that could be
my
true.
people.
So you're just you
Plus-
think you're just wandering
I
through
will
life for the
swear to
last
you,
30 years doing sports and you have no fans.
I am as 100% honest as I possibly can be when I say this. I never crafted a tweet to try and make you jealous about me appearing on other podcasts. I never thought in a million years
I would
when
do
I
that.
appeared on Julian Edelman's podcast, shot out of his home just off the 405 freeway, about 20 minutes from where I live and
Which is
about
travel.
25 minutes from where I work, that you would consider that an affront that I would travel that short amount of a distance
Keyword
as opposed
there.
to flying to friggin' Nashville.
Keyword travel.
You know what I mean?
You traveled to
Traveled.
Of course I travel. What do you
And
think?
LA traffic? You think it was 20 minutes? Was
any-
it a block away?
McAfee, Indianapolis.
It is.
Oh, that's a good pull.
But I did McAfee's show
When you were in
during
Indianapolis.
when I was in Indianapolis for the combine,
Mhm.
and then I did Pardon My Take when I was in New York for the sports.
You
Emmys.
did do Pardon My Take as well.
Now I know that
Within this
was
past year.
now that you guys considered an affront. I understand it's the same label, it's the same family, it's the same.
They
but-
copy everything that we
But
do.
if the sport. I don't want to get involved. Okay.
It sounds like
All right. I don't want to get involved in this
of all
family
the issues
dispute.
of Bussin' with the boys, you're smack dab in the middle.
So maybe so, but all I'm saying is that if the sports Emmys were in Nashville, I'd have been on the bus sooner. You know what I mean? And if they were in Nashville, I wouldn't have done Pardon My Take because I was in town for the sports Emmys. Like honestly, this is the first time I have been in Nashville since
the draft.
since the
2019 draft?
Yeah, right.
Was it 2019 or 18?
2019, I think.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely 2019.
Yeah, so that's the origin, and that's but it's now officially in the past. We have officially turned the page.
And to give you
Pages
some
turned.
grace.
Yes.
To give
I
you
didn't know I needed any. What do you,
well, to
okay.
give, you're defending all your points, so I want to give you some grace too. You did try coming on when we would go to the Super Bowl.
I did.
And we would be like, no, it has to be on the bus
Right.
because the entire.
And
we
I
did
respected
publicly,
it.
we publicly
bit.
said that. We
Yeah.
publicly put that out there that Rich has tried to come on the
your
bus, but it's not
your fans
technically the
didn't
bus.
hear that. They didn't hear that.
Yeah.
It's
It's just-
more and more aggressive with each like every single time there'd be a photograph, and some of them, Jack. I mean, you would just take a screen grab of the interview that I did that day. It was pretty lazy, but I understand. I understand. Like day 7-10, you're like, okay, I just need to check this box and get out of the way. I totally get that.
To my defense, there after a certain amount of time, even for someone who's been on the internet and in the public eye for a long time, there is only a finite amount of photos of you. So
Really, okay.
getting
I find that offensive. All of a sudden,
Unfortunately.
I'm offended. No, but
As you should.
but you
I
would
took it
find
for
some
you.
deep cuts. Like I would have to really begin to think where was that, and I was impressed by that. But each and every time I would look at the first couple of comments, and it would be Bussin' fans who were just like, you're disrespecting, you're never gonna go on. Like this photograph that's up there right now. That's my photograph from college, from Pi Kappa Phi, my fraternity. That's what's up on the house wall right now, wherever the house is in Michigan.
Where was that house when you were at Michigan?
It was a temporary quarters. We didn't have an official house.
Oh,
right?
really?
Yeah.
You're still working through it.
We're still working through
True,
it.
an Animal
I'm a-
House
I'm a-
story.
I'm a groundbreaker, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no question
ground
about
floor.
that.
NFL Network, is another example.
Mm-hmm.
Ground
Yeah.
floor, build it up.
Right.
No one can ever take it away from you.
There's no doubt about that.
Right.
brother.
So that they would get aggressive. You could see how my name is Richard Eisen on that because again, that's what I was known as in college. At any rate, I'm here. So
Do you have a favorite photo that Jack posted, or that jogged your memory in such a way, like, oh man?
I don't know. Every now and then, you'd rope my wife into it. Which
It was your birthday yesterday, correct?
it was her birthday
Happy
yesterday.
belated birthday to your wife.
It's
Happy
very kind
birthday.
of you, Jack.
Yes.
Thank you. It's very touching. I feel like you're a member of a family now, man.
I love that.
I really do
Jack
feel that
Eisen.
way.
That is special. And the first time you guys met was last summer.
Correct. On
Yep.
the show, they're very nice enough to have us all in the studio.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful studio.
Thank
Really,
you.
really great staff. You guys have a great operation.
Thanks,
there.
brother.
What was the feeling when you saw Rich for the first time, knowing he was the only man standing in the way between you and a Chevy Silverado?
It's like seeing a father I've never seen before in my life.
Went out for milk and a pack of cigarettes and never came back.
And I remember, and Garrett was there watching. There was a bunch of us walking in, and I go up. He goes, "We're gonna get you that truck." And I go in for a hug, and he's already talking to other people, and I'm like,
oh no, God!
"We'll get it."
Another time, Dad.
yeah, no
I
doubt.
love you, Dad.
Just I love
Listen,
you, Dad.
I'm sorry I left and never came back, but we're now reunited, and hopefully we can look past everything.
I'm ready to move forward.
Great.
Hey, I will say it was really cool to be out at your studio with
Thanks,
the team
bud.
last year because of like, Jack tweeting every day. Like, I feel like we all had fun being out there, and fanboying on you for a second. Like when you covered baseball growing up and playing baseball, watching you break down the MLB every day
Yeah.
for my fantasy league, whatever fantasy league I was on.
Yeah.
But being able to watch you for like the last 2 decades and you running a couple bits on me has been really cool.
No, I appreciate you saying that, Will. That's,
I know
it's-
it feels a little weird.
No,
throwing-
it's all good, man.
Just
I
a bunch
mean,
of dudes sitting on the
just
bus
dudes,
complimenting
like,
each
just
other.
that's
You've
it.
aged so gracefully. We were in the
That's
car.
it.
You
yeah,
told us you
because
were
you're
born in
in what,
69.
69?
It's crazy.
And all I'm saying is,
You're
as
like,
a-
that's crazy.
By the way, on the drive over
As a
here,
young-
on the drive over here, we were talking about how my first Michigan game, and I kind of forgot the circumstances about it. And it was against Nebraska, and it was the Fiesta Bowl. I looked it up, and I remember sitting there thinking, after it jogged my memory, now I'm remembered that we beat Nebraska in the Fiesta Bowl, and I thought, oh, Michigan wins bowl games. And then, of course, we all found out, or at least I did, that that's not always the case, clearly. But at any rate, the reason I brought that up is I'm like, do you remember that? And then I realized I was talking to you, and I'm like, were you born yet? And you said no. And then you said, when were you born? I said 1969. You go, when were you born is what you said. Like, how you said, when were you born? Like,
Yeah, holy shit,
old guy.
69?
Like, I'm not that
How do you
old.
still do it?
Listen.
How are you still so sharp at this?
I gotta tell
at
you,
this
man.
age?
How do I do it? You
Yeah,
know what?
peptides?
It's just a
No question.
Peptides, yeah. And it's just a lot of crossword puzzles.
I do hear
Can
that.
I keep
brain
aging
stimulation.
myself up? What else? What more can I say? Ginkgo biloba, whatever they say that shit is.
What
I
is
don't know.
that?
I
Do you
don't know.
carry an iPhone, or are you still a flip phone?
Fuck you.
Dude, you just got a gentle fuck you from
Come
Rich
on,
Eisen. That's
man.
kind of
I
nice.
didn't know he asked for coffee in a newspaper this morning.
Yes, for newspaper.
I'm nothing without coffee and my paper.
No question.
Yeah, every single day. Yeah, so I was born. I'm 55. It's all right. Listen, you should be so lucky at age 55 if you can sit on this bus and keep doing this show,
Dude,
for as long as for as long as I've done shit in my career. You know what I mean? Like I hope that for you. You want to get that tap on the shoulder from somebody saying you're done.
The good news is
You
we're
know?
our own bosses. So the only people that be tapping ourselves be like, hey, we're 55.
Is
should
that
we,
right?
Should we
You
still
are?
be
Would,
sitting?
Would Port and I consider that?
Yeah, we would just.
Yeah.
He would consider you your own bosses?
I would think so.
If asked that question
I
directly.
think Portnoy would say those are my guys. Like
Yeah.
they're partnered with Barstool. Technically,
Okay.
he would be our boss.
Technically.
But ultimately,
if
everything
Dave
broke
Portnoy
up,
was asked a direct question,
Okay. Call him.
are the boys from Bussin' with the Boys their own bosses? He would answer it how? How would he
those are
answer
my
it?
guys.
He would say, those are my guys.
So,
Will he sharp?
It's a yes
he's
or
the
no
sharpest
question.
tool
He
in
may,
the
he
shed.
may only answer it yes or no. How
Right.
would he
And Dave's
answer
been in
that
the
question?
business, I mean, only half as long as you, 25 years, but he knows how to maneuver those waters. And I guarantee he would say, those
He
are
would
my
say
guys.
yes. He would say yes.
Okay, now he's saying yes.
Well, he can only say yes or no. Those are his only choices, A or B.
I would
A
say-
is
I would
yes,
say-
B is no. How would he answer that
I think
question?
he'd say yes. He wouldn't just say yes. He'd go, yes.
So he would indicate in his answer some form of hesitation to let the person who was asking the question know they're absolutely not there.
Yeah, we call that gray area. Yeah, and that's where we live in the gray area with Barstool.
Okay.
Because Bussin, there's a whole different variable. So Will's got an independent contract, so technically more.
Oh, really? You're not an official Barstool employee?
No,
For pulling back the
I'm
layers?
not. Will is an official
Yes,
Barstool
yes,
employee.
yes.
Okay.
But then the bus itself, it's like we work alongside Barstool, but also push come to shove. If someone had to be an answer, I don't know, let's just say like having a production team in Las Vegas for a beer games championship of the world, and they wanted to pull that, they could do that, and we could do
Understood.
nothing about it.
But you're partners, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you're
yeah,
considered
yeah.
partners.
Yeah, it's a strong
Who
partnership.
has a boss.
Right. A lot
Because
like
you're-
McAfee and ESPN.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. But
That's
at
a
the
good
end,
pull.
that's a great pull because at the end of the day, Pat is his own boss.
Yeah.
Even though he
So you've
technically
answered the
has
question.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. So
You
you're
answer your
so
own
you're
question.
saying you're the McAfee of Barstool.
Will said that.
Yes.
Will said that out loud.
Okay, I'm
Will
sorry.
said that.
I'm gonna back off. I'm bad at being the A of Q&A. I didn't mean to take over.
I don't
the
think
interview.
you are at all. I think
Okay.
you've taken us on a couple of nice journeys. We had
Okay.
a little memory lane with Jack.
Okay, good.
This has been great.
Okay.
We interrupt this episode to bring you Body Armor, real hydration, real ingredients, packed with electrolytes, vitamins, and nothing artificial. Body Armor sports drink has great tasting flavors like strawberry banana and blue raspberry. And not only do we hydrate with Body Armor, but some of the best athletes in the world do as well, like Christian McCaffrey, Joe Burrow, Ronald Acuna Jr. Acuna. Acuna Jr., CD Lamb, and Bryce Young.
Will
Get
Compton,
yours
Taylor Warren.
today at Walmart or your local grocery store near you. Back to the episode.
You've been
Because
outstanding.
I see you have lists of potential
Those are
questions.
potential
Why are they
questions.
potential? Are they meaning
'Cause-
they have potential to be asked of me right now?
Yeah, because Bussin' with the Boys is more founded on organic conversation. And here we are right now making it no longer organic conversation because I'm talking about being organic. So there it can't be so organic.
Correct. But
If we run into a little brick wall like we might be right now, I could look over in the corner and
do
say,
you want to ask me one of the potential
"Hey,
questions?
Rich, how was the NFL Hall of Fame ceremony?"
Oh, it was great, Taylor.
Yeah?
Thanks for asking.
And then you would
Um,
elaborate more because you know you're on a show.
Right.
Well, were you nervous during it?
No.
Were you more nervous during that or doing the roast of Tom Brady?
Ah, okay. I was the roast of Tom Brady was wild. So I wasn't asked to do that until the day before by Jeff Ross.
Really?
Yes,
Jeff Ross.
Jeffrey Ross, I've known since September of 2001 when I was at a party in New York City just after 9/11. It was like the first time everyone was out and about.
Yeah.
And I saw him at a party and I fanboyed him because he had just done the roast of Jerry Stiller where Sandra Bernhardt had done some musical act with Jerry Stiller, and he stepped up and he told the famous line, Sandra Bernhardt, she's so ugly, I wouldn't fuck her with B. Arthur's dick. And B. Arthur, somebody who you probably don't know before your time, she was on Golden Girls, and she was, getting up in years, and she was on the dais, and he roped in a 70-year-old woman and accused her of having a male part.
And that was the way to your heart.
It was the funniest. It still is the funniest roast joke ever said anywhere by anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so we hit it off, and we've known each other ever since then. So he called me the day before, and he goes, "How would you like to kick off the roast of Tom Brady tomorrow night?" So I was going anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to be there with my wife Susie, and I were going anyway. And he goes, "How'd you like to start it?" And I'm like, "You had me at hello, of course, like 100%. I'll do that." And he had told me, because he's always up front with me, that he was trying to get Mike Tyson to do that first. And
Imagine how that would go.
I know if Tyson was going to start it off, right? Like, let's get ready to rumble or whatever the hell. And so for whatever reason, it didn't happen. I'm like, I'm happy to be your plan B after Mike Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, it's the only time in my life I've ever been a plan B after Mike Tyson for anything. But so I was going to start it off. So I rehearsed. They had me go down to the forum earlier on that Sunday and rehearse it. So I did it. It's on the prompter. I can read a prompter, for 30 years, not a problem. And so as we're getting ready to walk in, and it's time to walk into the arena, my wife, Suze, who's been in the business for as long as I've been, turns to me and she asked me, and she never really asked me, she goes, "Are you nervous to do this?" And I'm like, "No, like I just rehearsed it. It's on the prompter and whatever." So we walk in the arena, and the idea that there's a roast in an arena it's a pretty big room for a roast. And I was a little concerned that the roast wouldn't go over well in a room full of 10,000 people.
Right.
But the place was already half hour before packed.
Mm-hmm.
And there must have been a million open bars or whatever, because everybody was ready to roll. You could feel the energy in that arena a half hour before. All the Sullys and Fitzes and their Edelman jerseys and their Gronk jerseys and their Brady jerseys, they were lit. Literally, figuratively. You could feel the energy. And so now it's time to actually do it. And they put me right there out in front, hand the microphone, and the camera goes in my face. And I thought to myself, oh, shit. Like, this is actually happening. It's live. And I'm, introducing Kevin Hart, and everybody's there, and I'd seen everybody. And I'm like, okay, now I'm starting this thing off. And then as soon as they started the roast, that Netflix doom.
Yeah.
They played that in the arena, and it echoed off of everything, and the place went crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when like a hint of a butterfly hit. And I thought to myself, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because I just remember the first time I started SportsCenter, my first SportsCenter ever was in the spring of '96. I was 26 years old. My only experience was local sportscaster in Redding, California, small, beautiful town up in Northern California. And now here I am on the SportsCenter set, and I'm going down, and it was a round of 32 Saturday of the March Madness. And it was a half-hour show with Larry Beal. and I had 12 highlights and I'd only seen one of them. So 11 of my highlights that I was going to be doing live on ESPN for the first time were going to be handed to me during the show. And I remember thinking to myself, walking downstairs, I have two choices. I can shit in my pants, or I can just go and tee it up and let it fly. And I probably did both. But that's the feeling I had for the Brady roast, where I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, why am I nervous? It's on the prompter. I've done this a million times. And that was the greatest night, man. I love roasts.
They're awesome.
I love them because, you know, it's for the lack of a better phrase, I don't think Brady would call it this, but it's a safe space where, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's a safe space. Like, and to that point, I thought the Brady roast was like a Patriots therapy session, a long time coming, where Bledsoe got shit off his chest that he never would have been able to tell Brady to his face or Belichick to his face. And Edelman did the same thing, and Gronk did the same thing to each other and to everybody else there. And Kraft being there and Belichick being there. It got everything out in the safe space of you could say what you can say in the roast. Sure, there's a germ of truth in pretty much everything that you're saying, but it's all in a spirit of having a good time and being fun and saying the wrong thing. And it's tough to say the jokes now because when you're out of the context of the roast, it sounds awful. But I love it. It was great. And I think it, not to get too deep here, but it made Brady's actual Hall of Fame night in New England a month later that much more joyous. There was none of the undercurrent of, well, they don't like him, he doesn't like them, they're still pissed about that time. It got everything off their chest, and it was just about Brady's night of being honored and going into the Patriots Hall of Fame, and that's all it was about. That's what that roast was. It was amazing. It was spectacular.
One of the best roasts I've ever seen. It was so long too.
It was 3 hours.
Right. It was because they usually
added
an hour, right?
Because they added some, like a lot of people. They were putting a lot of.
Tony Hinchcliffe wasn't supposed to be up there that long.
Tony Hinchcliffe was brilliant.
He was unbelievable.
Brilliant.
That was one of the things I was going to ask you. Is who was your favorite?
Well, Nikki Glazer and him were just dominating.
They stole the show.
They did. Nikki Glazer's joke about Gronk with the crypto, like, we know that not real money, like Brady, like, how did you lose all that money,
right,
you know, and her telling that joke, even Gronk knows me know that not real money. And that was the first joke of the night where the upper bowl of the arena laughed longer and louder than the lower bowl, so it was kind of like, you know, for lack of a better analogy, like a starburst in the galaxy that took a few more light years to hit Earth.
Yeah.
And so everybody's laughing in the lower bowl, loud laugh. And then the upper bowl came on top of it and made it even louder and longer. And that's when it was really cooking with gas. I mean, that was after Bledsoe went and Jeff Ross went. He says that he's going to gift me for my studio his Roast J. Simpson jersey framed. So I'm going to get that from him for sure,
awesome.
and place that in my studio. Bledsoe went, he went, Kevin Hart was outstanding. And then she went, and amazing. And Hinchcliffe was brilliant. He just tore that place a new one. So he was great. I thought Bledsoe was hilarious. And I heard that when Belichick, when Kraft came out of the audience to do a shot with Belichick, and it looked like Bill wanted to do anything on planet Earth except take a shot with Kraft, I was told it had nothing to do personally with Kraft. It's just that Bill doesn't like drinking tequila very much, and he had just done a shot 5 minutes earlier with Gronk and Edelman. And he's just like, I mean, another shot of tequila. Like, he's more of a wine drinker. I'm kind of the same way. So he was actually reacting to having to do another shot of tequila. And then Gronk spiked the shot glass, which he wasn't supposed to do. And I think it did catch somebody in the front row.
Really?
Yeah.
Hospital bills because
no, that's a rumor. I have not confirmed that.
Yeah,
but it was wild.
Was the exchange with Tom and who
and Jeff Ross? Jeff swears, where he went and that
he said
that
watch
moment,
it, buddy, or something like
that.
that.
Yeah, because he made fun of Kraft's Florida
joke,
incident, right?
Yeah.
And so and he went up to him and he like said cut the shit or something like that.
Yeah.
And Jeff and him are cool. Like it really wasn't anything that was agreed to beforehand or whatever. And so it wasn't as big as people made it out to be, as Jeff told me. But the crazy thing is that moment is the most viral moment, from the roast in terms of awkwardness, instead of the other stuff being just like laugh out loud funny jokes. And so the cutaway in the middle of that is to me and my wife Susie, and so we were everywhere because the cutaway they kept cutting away to Susie and I just like laughing, and I don't know why. I mean, it's great because she looked out. Yeah, there it is right there. I mean, that's her reaction right there because Robert Kraft wrote her letter of recommendation for college. She's known him forever.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and obviously he's one of my 33 bosses because, I'll admit I'll have a boss.
A few.
And so they
We
cut away to
do as well,
us,
right?
but it's a funny joke, man. I mean, again, it's a roast.
But of that awkward moment,
Yes.
Did you like feel the awkwardness in it, or was it kind of like a fleeting passing by? It happened to just catch traction.
No, I was just laughing. It's funny.
Yeah.
I thought honestly,
Funny
I
is
didn't
funny.
see. I didn't.
Funny's
I
funny.
didn't see Tom go up to him because I
Yeah.
just like. Nor did Susie because her face is in her hand.
I just figured Tom was like being funny himself, like to where you're whispering something, but it's going to be heard.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Like there's a
It could've
microphone
been.
right here, and you're just like essentially talking to
Like
him.
he
I
knew
think
it was
the-
that
plus, I
everybody's
think,
going to be able to hear
In
it.
all honesty, I think the first hour of the roast, like if you asked Brady, he probably wouldn't remember it. Like he was
I bet.
like just it's. I can't imagine being the roastee, like that.
Yeah.
And
Especially
honestly,
going through the divorce, all that. Like it's funny too that
Right, it was all
he
out
goes
there.
at Kraft, and that's when he gets mad. But all the things about his wife also deflating balls
was
and all that
was
stuff.
that the joke where Kevin Hart said something along the line? Was it Kevin Hart talk
Some-
about the black, like she's taken 15 lessons of jujitsu and still has like a white belt?
Oh,
or
how'd you
something
not
like
see that coming? That was Kevin. Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, it was off. And he was great too, Brady, when it was his turn to
Yeah.
roll.
He was.
At the
It
end.
was all. It was all really good. There's of the guys that aren't comedians. Who did you think did the best?
Wow.
So yeah,
I thought Bledsoe was great. Gronk did in fact write most of his stuff. Like at one point he goes, "I wrote that." Haha. Like
Yeah.
that wasn't his.
He
that
really
wasn't
did.
him being just trading in on his persona just
Yeah.
for a joke. He legitimately wrote that and was proud of how he wrote that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
I
it's
love
great.
that.
So so from my vantage point where Susie and I were sitting, so I'm sitting here, the stage was to my left, sort of like in the position where you are, and where Jack is over there, you could see the prompter that they were reading off of. So it's kind of like, when you go to a football game, like in Dallas, or if you've been in one in LA, sometimes you'll be watching the game on the big screen and you have to remind yourself there's a live football version of it, in front, like you're here at the game, you should watch it down on the field instead of on the huge big screen. Sometimes though, I would be looking over at the prompter and seeing what they were saying on the stage. Was that ad-libbing or not, and how they were following it. Gronk was way off his prompter.
Yeah.
Like way off. Like I felt bad for the prompter operator trying to keep up and find out where he was going to try to pick back up again.
Right.
Like that person had a
hell of
rough
a day.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, had a hell of
Yeah.
a day. Like needed a nap after the roast.
Well, even Tony was supposed to stay at his seat, right? And then he went up and did
No,
his
I
whole
think
bit.
I think he was supposed to start at his seat
Mhm.
and then get up on stage. That's what I heard. Again, I haven't spoken
He
to him.
was telling me that it was like he had like a minute or two at the table, but was not supposed to go up on the stage.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and
It
then
might
he
have
went up and
changed.
took
It
over.
might have changed right before because he was a late addition to the entire thing.
Well, and so were a lot of people. That's my point. Is the reason why it was 3 hours long is they put a lot of, hooks in the water to get people, and a lot of people committed really late, and so they're like, "All right, we'll just make it longer." Like, what are you going to tell Will Ferrell? No, you can't play.
Right.
Ron Burgundy.
It was great
Right.
to see.
Get
Ron
out of here.
Burgundy
You know what I
come
mean?
out.
Or Belichick and Kraft. I heard Kraft was a late ad, and they just like Goodfellas, they flew a table in and put it right in the front.
That's awesome.
And so I didn't care. It was great. For a 3 hour roast, it felt like half that time. It was great.
Was there anything in there that the room kind of deflated a little bit? Were there any jokes that people were like Oof,
I
maybe
think it
too
was
much?
Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben it was a weird showing, right?
Well, it was also late too, and
Yeah.
and I know a lot of the comics up there. If they're not like, I bet you if you asked Tony next time you saw him, like hey, were you, when you're sitting there with, you know, in the crowd, were you like looking at your watch like, when am I going to get up there? Because comics don't want to go up late, 2 hours in. People might be laughed out. You know, it might not be the best time to get up there. So, but
that's
it
what was
still worked
fascinating to me listening to him, because he's big into, like, he was kind of speaking about it from the game and the science of it all. He's like, oh, I had to switch up a lot of my jokes because when Nikki kills it up at the top and then he goes on like an hour or two later, you can just feel the room shift to where he had to like maneuver different jokes around because he's like, this isn't going to hit at this point.
No doubt. I by the way, I geek out on stuff like that, for the lack of a better phrase. I did stand up in college at Michigan.
Did you
at
really?
the U Club, yeah, which is now a Panera Bread, I think.
Nice.
So it's the toughest thing I've ever had to do my entire life is to do stand-up comedy. I did it once every 6 weeks from sophomore year all the way to the end. And but it was also a little easier for me because all my friends were there, packed the house, so I kind of knew what the audience would be doing. My big finale was to read the Penthouse forums in Howard Cosell's voice. You know, and again, I'm dating myself for a lot of your audience. So people are Googling Howard Cosell right now, which freaks me out.
Possibly Penthouse.
Yeah, perhaps too.
Maybe.
And the forum letters and whatever. And so like that was my act for like 3 years. Tried it in Livonia for like on a laugh shack in a small town there outside of Ann Arbor. And there were like 5 people in the audience. And I'm like, I am not cut out for this. So
yeah, was it was that like a thing you might have wanted to pursue, or was that
1,000,000%? Absolutely. And to the point where, you know, where I'm on a show, any show that I've done, from SportsCenter, NFL Network, my current show, like if I say something that I think is funny and I don't hear an immediate feedback of laugh, I think it's fallen flat. So I basically have told anybody that any show that I do, I go to everybody on the floor after, you know, and tell them, if you think something's funny, you know, like laugh out loud. Like I don't think people at home would think like a studio show is worse because you're hearing a reaction of somebody on the floor. Like that's what NFL Game Day Morning, like if you hear when we're having fun, for the first few years, you know, the crew, because it's not their job to laugh at my shit, right? It's their job is to, you know, make sure the show looks great and sounds great and all that business. I would go up to them, I'm like, just go ahead, laugh, you know, like the energy is, that's the way I kind of work. A couple of shows I've done at Super Bowls for my show or in front of live audiences. I love it. Can't get enough of it.
just the energy of a crowd?
I love it.
Gets
And
you
that's why I
going.
love roasts. I love roasts.
You just love
them.
comedy.
I
You
do.
love entertainment.
You know what? I do.
That's beautiful.
I'm so
You
glad
say
I
you
came
know
on this
what?
bus
I
to
do.
confirm
It's a
that.
therapy session, brother.
I
That's
agree
what we
with you
do.
too. Like even watching like on TV, if you hear people in the background, like I catch myself to where if you say something funny,
Yeah.
I might be like, "Oh, that was funny." But if people are laughing with you,
Right.
you're almost like subconsciously grinning and
Yeah.
smiling and feeling.
Yeah,
the
and
energy.
you
Having
feel
more fun
and-
with it too.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you have
yeah.
a connect-
Distant laughter is always a great feeling
Right.
when you hear it.
Right.
Correct. That's what it is too. You know, and I think maybe I get that also from growing up in New York, listening to Howard Stern, you know, where you would hear the rest of his, you know, gang laughing
Right.
out loud, you know, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, you know what I mean? Like his old school shows and now obviously current shows, for sure. Like 100%, you know, your guys react to what you're doing. People listening wherever they are or watching wherever they are, they'll react to it better. I always think that way.
With the media now, and you kind of see this big transition, McAfee getting to ESPN, it seems more loose. It's like the suit and tie is kind of going away. What have you seen since the beginning of being on ESPN to now? How much it's integrated more of like a casual? It seems much more casual now than it did even 10 years
Well,
ago.
we're on a bus, right?
Well, yeah, but we're not a
No,
major network.
No, but you mean, yeah, you are. Barstool's a major
Yeah, but I'm
network.
talking about like the you know Fox Sports,
NFL
NFL
like what I
Network,
guess traditional
ESPN,
media. You're
traditional
talking about
media,
cable,
yeah.
right? I mean,
Because you
but-
see, it seems like it's changing quite a
That
bit.
kind of TV.
That kind of TV right there. That suit
Oh
that you
my
picked out and you
God.
said, "This
Men's
is the
Warehouse,
one,
buddy.
This is the one."
Men's Warehouse from
The
Houston,
TVs that
Texas.
has
I
ads
remember where I bought
Not
that.
a bad mop on top of the head there. That's
Dude,
good.
Look at that.
You miss it?
You shouldn't. Hey, you shouldn't.
Do you ever?
You're a good looking bald guy.
Yeah. You
Let me
have a
tell you
good shaped
something.
head.
Do I? By the way, thank you.
That's a win.
It's a win. Now I'm glad I flew to Nashville.
There
I
it
feel
is.
better about myself and the shape of my
Words
head.
of affirmation, brother. That's what we're here for.
Thank you, guys.
But
We're
do you
all
miss it?
together. Yeah, of course I do.
But do
Are you kidding me? Of course I do. But I'm also more aware of people's hair now.
Are you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm a little more aware of it. But I look at stuff like that. It's so weird, you know. Like certainly when I'm watching with my kids, and you're watching a 30 for 30 or or something, and my face will pop up like the Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. You know, they pop me up showing a Rodman, doing a Rodman lead in from when he bolted the team or whatever, and my kids are just like, "That's you?" I'm like, "Yep, that's me." And great picture right there. I remember we did that once upon a time. That was Nate Burleson's haircut back in the day on NFL Network. So they put that on my hair. But yeah, I miss my hair. Thanks for asking.
No worries.
Yeah, but what the difference is again, like, content can come from anywhere. You know, players now, instead of speaking after games, will go and do their own podcast. You know, their own material isn't just what they put on a stat sheet. It's what happens on the floor or a field or a court, and then they take it to their own microphone. You know, so post-game press conferences aren't as crucial for them to do. Obviously, from my perspective, it's crucial for them to do because there's still a viability in having a professional questioner ask questions of an athlete after a contest. But so there's that. Streaming. My show is streaming every single day. And that's not so-called traditional, but I think at some point people will view that as traditional media.
Right.
And then you guys, I mean, you're perfect examples.
We are, aren't we?
You are. Yeah. I mean, you honestly, you are. Is that what you do and how you do it? And you've got an audience, a significant audience, and an audience that is very, die hard. And so you may not be traditional because you're sitting on a bus and people will, consume you in a way that's not just taking a remote and popping a television on. Doesn't mean that it's it just means it's a different world.
There's obviously so many more ways like consume entertainment now. For you, is it more difficult because you have to follow so many more outlets? Because it used to be pop on ESPN, NFL Network.
No, I mean, I guess, I hate the word social media. It just sounds so stupid. But but I also can't say X either. So I'll say Twitter till I die. But that I'll look at that or other news outlets or whatever. I'll see it that way. But it changed SportsCenter. I mean, that happened. When I started SportsCenter in '96, or when I started with SportsCenter in '96. SportsCenter had already been, like 15 years old at that point in time, or 17 actually. But when I first went on the air with that Flock of Seagulls haircut, people were tuning into SportsCenter because they hadn't seen the game, or that they'd seen it once. We assumed you hadn't seen a highlight of it yet. So you're tuning into a highlight show to see what happened or see it again for the first time.
Especially with baseball too. Like you get the top 10 baseball at nighttime, you're like caught up on all the games that kind of happened that day.
Sure. So that's the way it started. And then towards the end of it, again, I know I keep aging myself on this show, but with the advent of phones and the popularity of the internet, I kid you not, man, it's the truth.
Yeah.
That SportsCenter went from the show I just described to assuming anybody who was watching it had already not only seen the game, known the result, but had already seen highlights of it multiple times in the palm of your hand or on your home computer. And so the show then changed for an anchor from being, somebody who's turning a phrase, dropping a line here and there, having fun and giving out the information, to being a host of two analysts arguing why something happened. And I freaking hated that. Hated it. I didn't like it at all. So with less highlights, instead of doing a highlight that was 2 minutes long, it's now 40 seconds long. Let's bring an analyst on. Like when Sean Salisbury and John Clayton had schoolyard fights, and I was the anchor sitting in the middle of it saying, "Okay, guys, let's move on." And I hated that. Hated it. I complained about it, and I don't know if that's the reason why I was handed a cardboard box, but I was. And so, the show changed. I didn't want to do it as much anymore as they wanted me to do it. So there was a parting of the ways about 9 days before my wedding. And so my head was completely spinning, and NFL Network, was the obvious choice for me to.
How soon
on.
after the ESPN?
Right away.
So even right before the wedding, you're
right away.
You're
Yeah,
talking
absolutely.
with NFL
No,
Network.
no doubt. And
So
there
your
was
head was
another.
spinning for like 12 hours.
Well, no, because I had another option too.
Somebody
Like,
texted him was like, "Hey,
Nice.
you're
Hey, heard you got fired.
No,
you want this job? And he's like, oh my God, my life is horrible. All right, I'll take it.
no. In all honesty, I thought I'd be at ESPN forever.
Mm.
It was my identity. 26-year-old kid, Sports Center, ESPN.
It was like the program,
There's
too.
100 million households, and and then the other option I had at the time was Turner Sports was remaking their Braves broadcast. They wanted me to be the play-by-play guy for the Braves broadcast, and I just got married. Didn't want to start my marriage off by saying I'm going on the road for 70 games. Just probably wouldn't have been a really productive job for me.
Made it hard, the honeymoon hard.
And so, and then the other option was move out to Los Angeles and plant a flag for NFL Network for an executive named Steve Bornstein, was the president of ESPN when I first started there, and he handpicked me to start NFL Network. And I'm like, that's it. So I went and I did that. But it was an identity crisis where I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? And
was the firing sudden? Or
hell
was
yeah!
it
Like we had like
kind of felt like that.
No,
there's
we had
some
like
friction
72
there?
hours left in a negotiating window, and then I got a fax. My agent got a fax saying we were done, and then 10 minutes later, a phone call from USA Today asking for comment on why I wasn't renewed. And I'm like, well, who the hell said that to them? Because only my future wife and my agent at the time knew that this had happened. I'm like, holy
Can't believe
shit!
your wife would do that to
So,
you.
but listen, I honestly, I have nothing but the fondest of memories from them and friends galore. Like, still, I'm tight with a lot of people from back then. Dan Patrick, Keith Olbermann, KO, and I will text frequently. Chris Fowler was at my wedding. I just saw him the other, couple months ago. I love the guys, and Linda Cohn, a bunch of people I'm still friendly with. Long story short, though, that's the difference. You know what I mean? Like how the business has changed. That was from 96 to 03. Now this is 21 years later. And that's the thing I love about the show that I do is that every day, if you want to watch it live, you can, on the Roku channel. And then you want to listen to it live, you can on terrestrial radio with Westwood One, or you want to Sirius XM or TuneIn if you want to stream it. Odyssey, if you want to stream it live, you can. If you want to watch it on demand, there's the Roku channel has that. It also repeats on the channel 210 that I'm on, and there's also YouTube clips, and then there's also the podcast version of it, all 3 hours, so you can listen to it on demand. You can also we chop it up. Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and all that. So there's different ways of distributing stuff now, even better.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, it just used to be just one viewing somewhere. Now it's you
Either
can put
see
it
or you
everywhere,
don't.
right?
Yeah.
Because people don't have either the time or inclination to take in something live. They have the right to listen to it or watch it whenever they want. So that if you can cover all those bases, like that's the win. And that how much better is that than the past? So that's how it's changed.
I know it's been 21 years since you were at ESPN, but what did
Yeah.
you miss the most from ESPN? Because going from doing all sports to just NFL,
Yeah.
you're talking about how much you love baseball. You knew every single team, every
Yeah.
single player.
Right.
Do you miss that stuff, or was that just
Well, I mean, I still
unnecessary
get to
hard work?
I get to still do it on a daily basis on my daily show, but if I missed anything about it, it was just the platform. I mean, those 4 letters are pretty popular.
Yeah.
Right.
know
You
what I
feel
mean?
like that's the pros.
I'll never forget. So I started with NFL Network. We went on the air week 11 or week 10 of the 2003 season. I don't know why we decided to start in the middle of the season. We weren't ready. It was Ducks didn't get in a row, whatever. At any rate, so we were 11 weeks old during our first Super Bowl, and so my wife, like I told you, she's in the business as well. So she was working with NBA TV and Turner. She did some sideline for TNT, NBA on TNT. And so the NBA All-Star game was in LA of February of 2004. Again, NFL Network launched in November of 2003, and about 15 million homes in NFL, and ESPN was in like 110 million homes at the time. And so I basically willingly, or not willingly, but again, I got handed a cardboard box, but 100 million, almost 100 million eyeballs lopped off of what I was doing, just like that. And so I went as Susie's +1 to a couple of these NBA parties for the All-Star game. And some guy comes up to me and goes, Rich Eisen, I watch you every day. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is cool. So I can crowdsource how he's watching NFL Network, because I didn't know who was watching it at the time. Okay. So I said, oh, wow, you get NFL Network? He goes, what's that? And I'm like, that's what I'm on. He goes, you're not on ESPN anymore? And I'm like, I haven't been on since last May. That was my last Sports Center, May of 03. I mean, I haven't been on ESPN in like 8 months, 9 months. He goes, really? And I'm like, yeah. And he paused and he goes, are you all right? That's what he said to me. And I'm like,
were you?
I'm like, well, I said to him, well, at that point in time, I was now offended. I'm like, you know, like I'm standing in front of you, like talking.
I'm
like,
alive, aren't I?
You have a mirror, I'll fog it up for you.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, he get aggressive on the guy. He came up to me and said he was a fan, you know, but I'm like, you know, I'm kind of, you know, got my hackles up.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, but that was the general sense of why would you, I even get those questions today. Why did you leave ESPN? Why would you do that? Like, 20
something years later.
Yeah. But I'll still, walking through an airport, have people hum the Sports Center theme at me as I'm going through security. You know,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Leaving a mark,
which is
big
great.
time.
That honestly makes sense, because with social media not as big as it is now, like you're able to know any move that happens. Like when Skip leaves FS1 or Fox, you know about it, you know why, you know the rumors.
Yeah,
everybody's
right.
tweeting and posting. But when NFL Network was coming on, what years was that again?
03.
Right. So like
Week
we're
10.
Right. We're in high school going into college. You almost just see you are now on NFL Network, and you're almost thinking like it's hard to disassociate the two. Like, okay, the NFL Network might just be ESPN. It's like maybe they just have them on this show, to where you really didn't know that there's like, oh, there's NFL Live going on, and then there's like what was it on? What are the two different shows? It was NFL Live and the other comparable one on
NFL Total Access.
NFL Total Access. To where then you started to realize like, okay, there's two
different
different networks now. I wonder
but
what
when you're in
happened.
high school too, you're not realizing
Right.
like, these other businesses are doing X, Y, and Z. You're thinking, oh man, they all work together.
Right, exactly.
There was no NFL Live when NFL Network started, and I you know, again, I will
Trailblazer.
it's not just me, it's literally everybody that started NFL Network and has worked on it, to be very honest with you. Like when we first started, you know, I remember I went on Kimmel's show to help promote it, and he even said to me, he goes, what are you going to talk about? He said to me that you'll be back on ESPN by the spring, and it was a big laugh line in the room. It's funny, it was funny, but it did kind of like, you know, hit me in the gut a little bit here.
Taking a lot of gut shots during this time.
But that's what a lot of people were saying. What are you going to talk about when there's no games on? I remember, again, one of the final Sports Centers I did in April of 03. We were in an ideas meeting before, like, what are we going to do? We have some time to fill. And somebody brought up, let's do a breakdown of, you know, some of the top team, you know, secondaries in the NFL. Like, let's break it down. What are the best secondaries in? They were laughed out of the room. They're like, what are you talking about? It's opening day. It's Masters. It's March Madness. We're going to talk football. Literally, that was said in the room. Now, there's 15 other shows like that on ESPN and everywhere else. And I think that is large part to NFL Network showing you can talk about it every day. You not only can talk about it every day, there's a market for it. There's an insatiable appetite for it. You know, we mercilessly made fun of to have a show based on the schedule being released. Because again, you know when a season's over, the next season, who plays who and who plays who where. You know it. It's all handled based on what year it is for your team to play another division, and then where your team finished in your division order. Then you suddenly play other teams in other divisions to finish in the same place. You know exactly. Just the only thing you don't know is the order of where you play them and on what channel and at what time. That's the only difference. And so basically we made a show celebrating the you know, announcement of paperwork. You know what I mean? Like, here's your schedule, and we made a big deal out of it, and we had merciless fun made of us. Now everybody's fascinated about it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, now you're playing 3 out of 4 on the road in December? Like, that's NFL Network. The Combine, perfect example. You know, now some coaches don't even go to the Combine because they watch it on NFL Network. They get a better view of shit than they do up in the stands through their little binoculars. You know, so I will absolutely, on behalf of everybody, take credit for the NFL being everywhere right now.
The NFL has done a great job
100%.
of making it a year-round event. everything that you had, the schedule, the draft, the combine.
Right.
Like in July, you guys are still talking
Correct.
about things.
Like
It's
exactly.
wild.
Now people can't wait for training camps to open.
Mhm. Right.
Like,
And there's always rumors floating around.
Whoever, first day of training camp, I bet in 03 when we first launched, there might have been like 5 reporters in these places.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like now it's
Now they're
who's
everywhere.
not signed, who's
Yeah.
going to get signed, like what's going to happen. And fans are just like, who am I going to draft in my fantasy teams? It's unbelievable, So absolutely, it's totally changed. And in terms of just one last thing on the ESPN thing, like the biggest exposure distribution I've ever had in my career were those 2 a.m. sports centers and then 1 a.m. Eastern sports centers that I did with Stuart mostly, where we would do it live and then we would wait till whatever games on the West Coast were done, if they were still going on, close the show up, edit it together. Like folks would edit it together, but it would be edited together after we were done with it. And if there was any mistakes live, we'd have to stay afterwards and fix them. That's a lonely moment at like 3:20 in the morning when you have fucked up and everybody's got to stay late because of your screw up. You know what I mean? That's not fun. But we would do it, and then I would go home 4 a.m., 4:30, try and just calm down because you're hyped up from doing it, go to sleep, and then at 5 a.m., that show would re-air all the way through to 1 in the afternoon, and I would be dead asleep for 7 of those hours. While I'm asleep, everybody's watching it. Biggest exposure of my career television-wise was when I was sleeping for those. And to this day, I will still get people come up to me, and it freaks me out, because they're there with their children to say, I watched you before going on the school bus. Before I went off to 5th grade, I would watch you and Stuart do this thing. Nowadays, there would never be a show that's 7 hours old that's shown on TV. You know what I mean? Like news is breaking. Now there's Get Up and First Takes and all of this shit. I shouldn't say shit, but all of this stuff that's on the air.
All this shit.
By the way, I don't want it to sound like I'm disrespectful. All this stuff that's on my show is part of the shit. We're talking about stuff that's on the air happening right now. And TV shows that are radio shows that are simulcast on the TV. I mean, Dan Patrick is the pioneer of that. My show was put on after his on DirecTV. That's the way my show exists. Is that Dan showed it can be done, and so they hired me to go after Dan, and so at any rate, long story short is that's the difference, as well as I still get people. It blows me away. They're like grown ass men who are like 40, 38, 37, women who 35. Are that age as well, 35, who are 20 years younger than me.
I'll be 35 in September.
Oh,
September.
So
19th.
yeah.
Okay. Great. So, yeah, I will get that. And I love it. It's obviously a blessing to be, here in 2024 and have literal generations who are older saying that they remember, when I did stuff. So I take
Stuart.
Yeah.
And this might sound ignorant, but I'm really trying to make sure I know that he had the glass eye, right? And he passed away recently.
He didn't have a glass eye.
He had a fake eye.
No, he didn't have a fake eye. He had an eye that was, like a lazy eye. He had a bad eye.
Oh, I thought that boy was just missing one.
No. He and then his good eye got injured, I believe, even worse because he tried out for the Jets one spring as sort of a piece to go. They would follow him cameras and to try and see how difficult it is to make a team and whatever. But Stuart literally thought he was going to make the Jets.
What could he run?
I don't. He's an excellent athlete. I mean, an excellent athlete. But to catch passes in the NFL,
across the middle.
Come on. But and he would say to me, you ever ask Allen Iverson? He spoke it into existence, and he meant it. He meant it that. Like a hand on a stack of Bibles. He swore he was going to make it, but I was genuinely concerned because, with his eye and his eyesight, whenever we got highlights, in the paperwork handed to us during a commercial break of these shows, we had to turn the lights up. They would turn the lights down because they're hot, and they would during a commercial break give us a break of the lights hitting us. But he didn't want that because he needed the light to see better. So that guy trying out and having footballs thrown at him, I told him, I'm like, really? And he would just He didn't want to hear any
So you were a
nonsense about. Yes, that's the way. Right. Right.
So you were a hater.
And a
In
player.
his
hater.
eyes, he's like, oh, Rich.
No,
is-
of course.
Rich is
He might have even used that
he
word
puts
at
Rich
me.
on the,
He
on
might
the
have even
locker.
used that word. Like, and then one time a ball came out of the a jugs machine and hit him in his good eye.
So you were right.
And no, but it hurt him. It really hurt him.
And so he had the
And
lazy
so he had-
eye, and his
correct.
other eye was more injured than his lazy eye.
That was.
I don't know the science behind a lazy eye.
But long story short, though, is and I mean that guy was the greatest. I mean, and it was awesome doing shows with him.
I
It
can't imagine
really,
having a guy
really
like
was.
2 a.m., 3 a.m. doing a show with him for that long, and
Well, it's
he's
not
got to be
just
one of the
that,
guys you love the
too.
most.
And the
working
energy
with.
that he had too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not just that too. I mean, he was true to himself, man, which is the greatest you could be in this world. It's just like anybody that's telling you can't or you shouldn't, or he was just absolutely pure. The guy that you saw on TV was the guy that you saw off the air, and he was awesome. There was just being around him and his personality and his essence. And again, at the time, I met my wife in the newsroom of ESPN, and it took a while till she understood what my depth of feeling for her was, and it was matched, to put it that way.
yeah.
I was a little bit older, and so she was trying to figure out life, or at least that's the way I'm going to say it, even all these years later. But she just wanted to be just friends, to use the phrase, for a while. And
You
Stuart,
got friend zoned.
dude, I got friend zoned. And so
you
Stuart,
got rid of that hair.
Stuart would play both of us towards the middle. Like whenever I got discouraged, hang in there. Whenever she was just like, just friends, he's just, come on, what's the big deal?
She'd be like,
just
he's
give it a
doing
try.
too much.
Right.
He'd be like,
Oh,
"Oh, come
exactly.
on,
I was
yeah."
definitely, there's no doubt I was that guy. I think I probably told
We
her
were
I
all-
loved her within
all
a
of us are
month.
that
You know
guy.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But Stuart would always play us towards the middle. And so on our wedding day, there's a photograph of Stuart, with looking at the wedding ring and holding my hand and with a big smile on his face. And part of the look on his face wasn't just like, hey, man, you finally got what you wanted, but it was a look of, we did it.
Yeah,
Like
love that.
we did it.
the ultimate wingman.
Yeah, we did this, and so yeah, man, like that's Stuart, like that's real deal, where and I'm sure you could talk to a bunch of people, he would always tell you about, and it kind of would get some awkward with some people, like where he would say, when are you gonna have kids? You gotta have kids, like, well, wait a minute, he would talk about that all the time, so when his two daughters speak about him, it's the truth, man.
That's
So,
awesome.
He's
In working in that industry with him, what are
Yeah.
a couple things you feel like you learned, like working beside him, especially being young?
well, I mean, it was interesting, like he didn't like it when so when Keith Olbermann left, there was a seat next to Dan on what was called the Big Show at the time, and I wanted it. I wanted it. The
You were
11
ready for
o'clock
this.
Eastern, so you do it once and you go home at
Yeah.
midnight, not stay up till 4 a.m, whatever. And he knew it, and I wanted it, and he was like why? Like, we're the Big Show. Like, what we're doing, we're more current. We're the people. Like, it had nothing against Dan. Just like, why are you going to try and fill someone else's seat when we're creating our own greatness? And I kind of sat there and I thought to myself, okay, I understand, and maybe, just maybe, that had again, circumstances were forced upon me, but to start off something with NFL Network and start something that's my own, hearing that in the back of my head, Stuart saying, we're doing something of our own, like that has value too.
Yeah.
But it was also difficult to do a show with him from time to time because I had a line, like, oh man, I was going to nail this line. I had a great line, all prepped for the highlights, and prepped to do it. And he would jump in. He would start talking over my highlight.
He would steal your line.
No, he wouldn't steal my line. He would just burst in because that was his personality. It's not like it was about him, but that was his style, is to jump into my stuff. And it took a while for me to have to not get pissed off about it.
Did he ever know that?
I
Like,
would say it
was
to
there
him from
ever a
time to time,
conversation?
like, like what's up with that, and he would just smile.
Man, what's up with that? What do you mean?
Because again, like you don't want to stunt any chemistry. You know what I mean? And also, how do you say that without basically saying, "Hey, man, that's my highlight. It's my time."
Yeah.
Without
sounding.
When his response would probably be, like you can do that with me too. So yeah. But just one last story about Stuart, just to show you about some of the stuff that he was, dealing with at the time and negotiating so expertly, is his pop culture phrases would be for a lot of the African American viewing public. And that would make a lot of people who were watching the show were, white, say, he's not doing the show for me.
Yeah.
He's doing it for someone else. And that's suddenly now the show that I thought was for me is not for me anymore. And he would be the avatar for that sort of thing. And he I mean, of course he cared, but it didn't change a thing for him. And a perfect example of how it would make him bristle a little bit, because it was unfair, to be honest, straight up honest, because, he was doing it in the manner, not just he's doing it for himself, like that's him, that's his fingerprint, that's his essence, that's his DNA on the screen. Okay. And so the fact that it would be a criticism for him was difficult for him to swallow, but it never made him waver. So I remember, again, this is the, late 90s. So I would do a Seinfeld line. A line from Seinfeld, which is a show Jerry Seinfeld hosted.
Show about nothing.
Right. So,
Yeah,
hosted, he starred and he wrote.
Yeah.
Oh my
Cars.
God.
Kevin Hart?
Oh my
Similar
God.
white.
These guys.
Oh.
Yeah. Different jokes.
Holy shit.
Different jokes.
At any
Hey,
rate,
what's the deal with airplane food?
Seinfeld was a very
Oh.
popular show. #1 on TV.
Yeah.
So I would use a
Better
line from
Friends?
Seinfeld. It was after. It was before Friends.
Before Friends.
Okay. Must see TV Thursday night on NBC. Anyway, so don't pop Seinfeld
B movie.
up. B movie
The
is
B
not
movie.
the Seinfeld.
That actually did really well. That did really well.
What's the matter
That
with you?
movie did well.
That's
What is the matter
Seinfeld?
with
That's Seinfeld. Looks very similar.
Okay.
What the hell?
Mouth open all the time.
I mean, honestly, that's almost as bad. Like I'm talking about De Niro movie, and you're going to put up like War with Grandpa or something. Come on, man. There you go. There's Seinfeld right there.
He's the
That's
one-
what I'm
he's the
talking
bald
about.
one in the middle.
Oh my God. No, he's the one on the right.
No, this one right here. That's Jerry.
No, it's not. That's George.
No, George is on the right.
No, that's Jerry.
That's Costanza.
Please
on
tell
the
me you're
left
doing
right
a bit.
there.
Oh
no,
my
no, no.
God.
It's just
Oh
I want
my
I want to culture
God.
Will up. I want him to
I
know.
appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, big show.
And De Niro, are we talking Meet the Parents?
Holy shit.
Yes, yes,
Yes, we're talking
yes.
Meet the
Meet the
Parents.
Fockers.
And Meet the Fockers. Yes.
Hold on
Great
a second.
movies.
We're going to put a
I
pin
think
in this
those are the only
conversation.
two he did though.
I
Let
think
me just-
those were his breakthrough roles.
He went on the screen, did those two, and then he came off the screen. And I think I hung him up after that.
Okay.
Yeah. Man, I love that we're teaching Will a little something here.
At any
We're
rate,
actually rich too.
At any rate, Stuart, I made a line from Seinfeld. We rolled a break, commercial break. Mics are off, and he turns to me and goes, "What was that?" And I'm like, "That was a line from Seinfeld from a couple weeks ago." And he looks at me and goes, "Seinfeld, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Brothers don't watch Seinfeld." That's what he said. And it kind of like hit me. I'm like, okay, so I'm giving a pop culture line that I feel is, relatable from the audience, that they'll get it. And he's basically saying there's a lot of people out there not going to get it. And so when I say something a lot of people don't get, I'm the asshole. Like essentially was the subtext of what he said in just that little moment.
Did you start watching Martin after that?
Good one.
Thank you.
Good one, man. That's a good
Subscribe.
one. And by the way,
Subscribe.
By the way, no. You pulled something from that era of pop culture as well. That was impressive, Will. You pulled
He's
that out
showing
of
you
your
the
ass.
layers of your own joke.
Wow,
right now.
you are.
I had
you
some
were
roommates
deep.
that were
so
athletes
so
in
so
college.
let's
No
go
question.
here. Let's
Yep.
go here. Let's go here. De Niro
Martin
movies.
Life.
Have you seen Goodfellas?
No.
I don't
Whoa, hang on. Bring that up. I
What
think
do you
I
mean
have.
bring that up?
I think I have.
You would know when you've seen
Oh,
Goodfellas.
can I-
Yes, yes,
All right,
I've
so
watched
time
that.
out,
Can I get a
please.
timeout?
I've watched
Can I get a
that.
timeout?
The son that grows up, right? He beats him up outside of the grocery store.
What the hell is happening here? Is it a 20-second timeout? How long do these timeouts last, Jack?
20 to 22.
Oh, you still playing right? We're still playing. Okay, I'm saying that
All
moment.
right. What's
And
happening?
I have seen
What's
it.
happening?
Time in.
So, you
So,
have seen it?
yeah.
I have seen that.
That's-
That was
that
on me.
one on the
that
right.
was on me.
The one on the right is
Oh,
Robert
no.
De Niro.
Oh my God.
Oh, I
Definitely
thought that was
not.
Al Pacino.
Is it
No.
worth? Do you want me to keep going, or have you seen Raging Bull?
Bring that up.
Bring
I've
it up.
seen Goodfellas. I've seen
You've
Goodfellas
seen
multiple
Goodfellas.
times. Yes,
All
that was
right.
my fault.
Raging Bull, everybody. Have you seen this? He plays Jake LaMotta. It's a classic.
Have not.
All right.
Have not. Seen. That's Jake LaMotta or Rocky
so then
Marciano.
you definitely haven't seen Taxi Driver or anything like Deer Hunter. You've not seen anything.
Are
De
we still
Niro.
talking about
Taxi
Jerry
Driver.
Seinfeld?
No, we're done.
Is that what we're
Taxi Driver. That's with
Queen Latifah.
the autistic driver, right?
Oh my God.
yeah, Taxi Driver's
Queen Latifah
Taxi Driver's
from
with that,
over there.
the dude
has
from The
been
Notebook.
said.
Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan
Definitely
Gosling.
not. He wasn't even born when this movie came out.
You sure?
Oh, I'm very sure. All right. What other potential questions?
No,
might
we don't
you
have potentials. I want to
Okay.
know about
Yes. Okay.
the combine because we've done the
Yeah.
combine the last 2 years.
You're great
together.
at it, dude.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's really fun with you.
The
and
older
David
he is.
Jeremiah.
Yeah.
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 How boring does it get towards the end, though?
It
Is
doesn't.
that-
No, not boring at all.
It's got to get
No,
tough.
no. Because listen. No.
My first question is
yeah,
your
it's-
job.
yeah,
That part's pretty boring, huh?
No. Because you turn it into sports talk radio. You know what I mean? Like, so
No,
you
but
could
it's
start.
so quiet. It's like golf. It's like
I
golf
know.
to me a little bit, where it's like it's a little more. How we doing? All right,
Although
guys, next
they're
up on
now
the list here.
letting fans in. Like when Xavier Worthy broke the record this year,
Yes.
it was electric.
And you look at
It was
and I'm
amazing.
just going back, being like, man, I wish they did it in 14. And because in 14, you would run your 40, and then you go over to the boys with their phones and be like, hey, you ran X, Y, and Z. You're like, oh hell yeah! But now they're showing what you got.
Yep, right away.
The fans are cheering, and I think it's awesome.
I don't think Worthy would have ran it a second time if he'd already known what his first time was on the spot.
You don't think
You know
so?
what I mean? I don't know. Somebody might have told him. I shouldn't say that.
You know,
But
yeah.
but I don't know if he'd have run it a second time. I don't know. I just think the way that is that now that the guys see the time and there are fans reacting to it. Oh, you keep showing me, huh? Anthony Richardson
Block
running
him
straight
looks good,
through
though.
me. Yeah, 40-yard dash.
you
I'm
do,
not fast.
I don't think you're running.
Well,
That's good form,
no. It's
but
not.
I don't think that's a maximum effort.
When do you think it really starts to go downhill?
When I run my 40,
Yeah.
as soon as it starts.
But I'm saying, when do you think like
It goes
something-
down. No. It goes downhill as soon as it starts.
But
Because
I'm
I know I've got a
saying-
bet. Like as soon as I pop up, I know I've started poorly. I know that you save time.
You get high.
You save
You get too high.
You save time at the start, and you save time. Midway through. That's where you.
But
save
I'm
time.
saying, at what point does a tire blow out and you're on
immediately,
20-yard line?
dude. Come on, man.
In real life, like you're probably gonna hurt yourself.
I have hurt myself. One year I blew out a hamstring doing it, and I'm like, I can't show that. And Mayock goes, you have to show it because it shows you that more than ever that you're relatable.
You're human. You're human.
Is literally what he said. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. All right, so let's do it. And as soon as we showed it, Mayock made merciless fun of
That
me
is
and called
funny.
it a sniper in the dome. There must be a sniper in the dome. And I turned to him, I'm like, you're the one who said to show it
Yeah.
because it makes it relatable. And you've been lying in the weeds to make fun of me. Like, what the hell is that?
But the sniper
But
thing, that's
It's a
That
funny.
is
It was a
funny.
funny line.
more new generation.
Listen, man. If I
Yeah.
can't take a joke, this never would have happened. So, because this is not good for me.
How did
None of
this?
it's good
How
for
did this
me.
come about? The Run Rich Run.
So it started like many things in our business of being totally bored, waiting for something to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So we were doing Total Access in 2005 in the old RCA Dome. Terrell Davis was thinking about doing television at the time, so he was with us. Sort of the same way, towards the end of your career, you started, popping on NFL Network and cutting your teeth doing broadcasting. right?
2014, I did it with you as well. I
Yeah,
don't know if you
so
remember.
before the end of your career.
Rookie year.
Listen, man. Bottom line is
in the prime of your career.
in
you
the
started
in the prime. So TD came on and I remember sitting there and we were barely trying to stay awake because we were 2 hours until Total Access was going live. And I'm suited and booted, and I don't know why. Just out of a sheer boredom, I don't know why the thought popped in my head. I looked down at the field. I'm like, maybe I should run the 40-yard dash just to stay awake or whatever. And I'm like, how fast do you think I can run the 40? And he said, you? Like that. I'm like, yeah. He goes, when? I'm like, now. He goes, like that? Because I'm dressed in a suit and tie and dress shoes. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, you can't. And I said, fuck you. sort of the same way that I said that to you earlier.
Yeah.
I literally cursed at him.
Did you?
This is good. I'm on a show like this when normally I'll just say I cursed at him and moved on.
You
I
can say
actually
whatever
am
you
able
want
to-
on the show.
I'm actually able to say exactly what I said to one of the sweetest men and greatest men of all time and greatest players of all time. So he laughed and I went down and I had no idea. There's the first 40. I had no idea. You could see there's no one on the field. I had no idea they were recording this in the truck, and I had no idea someone was shooting it. None.
You had no clue.
No clue.
You didn't peek over
Like
and
this,
see.
this camera was right, and that's kind of right there. I
see it
realized
with
it.
the
You're right.
little suit movement there.
You saw that, right?
Maybe I did just
And
blow
so
away.
later on that night, they showed it on Total Access, surprised me at the end, and timed it out at 6.77 seconds. And what you're showing now on the screen was Matt Millen showing up the next day and asking to see it. He showed up the next day, and Holmgren showed up the next day. There's Terrell Davis. And they're like, did I see you run a 40 last night? And I'm like, yeah. So then they would show it, and they were laughing. I thought nothing of it. Show up the next year to the RCA Dome, and the first guy I see on the field is Holmgren, fresh off of the NFC Championship season of the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, you're going to run it again. And I'm like, no. And he goes, you got to beat your time. And I'm like sitting here thinking to myself, he's not wrong. And so here it is, I guess the next year of me running it. And I broke it better, and it's not great.
Let off the gas a little bit those last couple of yards.
I know. And so I kept doing it again and again and again. And it started to get tired. The bit was tired. And then they created the simulcam technology on NFL Network where you can overlay one 40-yard dash on another. And it came up with the idea of overlaying my 40-yard dash over real 40-yard dashes. And it's slapstick funny, man. Like where you would watch me get head starts and the fastest people run through me, or we're off at the same time and RG3 would be off the screen by the time I'm at the 5-yard line. If you could call up Mount Cody, Terrence Cody, that one, that's the one, or BJ Raji, that's the one that kind of made it go viral, because you would watch me run a 40-yard dash and you'd watch me get a head start and then watch like Terrence Cody run through me like the biggest guy. Like he would catch up to me and he'd run through me. So that added like new life onto everything. And so when that happened, it would become like people YouTube famous, And so 10 years ago, some folks in the NFL network offices said, "Do you want to add a charitable component to it?" I mean, like, look at that, like running through me. It's just loud, and I couldn't catch up to him. And then Dion would make fun of me. One time, Dion ran as Leon Sandcastle and backwards.
Yes,
he ran
I do remember
backwards,
that.
and the first 20 yards, he was stride for stride with me, running backwards with an afro on his head. So
Dion, greatest athlete of all time.
Oh, I don't know how him and Bo Jackson are like stride for stride, but it's the real thing, man. At any rate, so 10 years ago, they asked to add a charitable component to it, and I said, of course, and they gave me a list of NFL related charities to be a good idea to coordinate with the NFL in any way we could, and so my 3 kids. 5, 3, and 1 at the time, 2 boys and a little girl. And so St. Jude Children's Research Hospital jumped off the page at me. And I'm like, that's the one. Like, let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because there, but for the grace of God, go Susie and I'd go anywhere else, anybody else, to get that awful phone call. Like, I don't even want to imagine it, and how everybody who goes to St. Jude never sees a bill for anything. And so St. Jude was all on board. And so some kids from St. Jude would show up at the combine and, root me on a run. And then in 2020, when the pandemic, 2021, when the pandemic canceled the combine, because in 2020 we had it just before the world shut down. We did it in SoFi and got some NFL legends to run with us as well, and some very generous folks, philanthropists, to run with them as well. Mark Laurie, who's one of the co-owners of the Timberwolves, or involved with the Timberwolves ownership right now, he got a bunch of people together. We raised a ton of money, and that kind of gave me an idea to just not do it at the Combine anymore. Do it in Los Angeles, where you can have a stadium at your own disposal. You don't have to wait for everyone to run. Plus, running the 40-yard dash, when I would run it, I'd be sitting on my ass in the booth for 8 hours eating like sandwiches and whatever. Not the best way.
Sandwiches.
Not the best way. And then I'd warm up for 5 minutes and run it. Not smart.
Yeah.
So we've done it at the Rose Bowl last 3 years, and I've done that for 10 years. We did our 20th. I did my 20th run this year, and it's getting bigger every year.
Annual event.
It's pretty
Annual
cool.
Rich
event.
run.
At the Rose Bowl too.
It's the highlight of the Combine.
You know
After
what?
The fast guys run.
And now we run it. And Harbaugh showed up this year. You could see him there with Witt, Big Witt, and Todd Gurley.
Big Witt is maybe the best human being to ever
Isn't he?
play football. he's the best dude
I love him.
ever.
He showed. I mean, him and Todd Gurley on their own spare time. And the thing with Harbaugh, this is a good story. So
Yeah, get into it, man.
So
Talk to me.
so this being the 20th year of it and the 10th year for the charity raise, Susie, again, my wife, got in touch with the free world to ask them to do videos in support of the run. People from our world and our Rolodex and our friends and whatever. And she would say, you know, how about this person? How about that person? I'd be like, she said, how about Belichick? And I'm like, really? I don't know if he'll do it. She's like, give me his number. And then like an hour later, she's just like, guess who I had the most lovely conversation with? I'm like, who? She said, Bill Belichick. I'm like, get out of here. You know, like that sort of shit would happen over and over and over again. So one day I get a call from Susie. She's like, guess who I just had the most, like it started the same way every time, you know, with a little bit of an inflection of like, you couldn't do this, so I can do this, you know.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's all good. That's why they call him the better half. So she's like, guess who I had the most incredible conversation with? I'm like, who? She goes, Jim Harbaugh. And I'm like, really? And she goes, and guess who might actually show up to the run? I'm like, really? And Jim heard about it, and he goes, I think we're going to be in town. So Susie and his wife got together, and we're talking about like getting them there. And so the day of the event, I'm like, is Jim going to show up? She goes, I don't know. Like, I think he might, but he's like TBD. So sure enough, like 20 minutes before we're about to go out on the field to do the run, I get a call from Susie saying, because she's bringing our kids, she's almost there. She goes, Jim's there. Send someone upstairs to go get him. And I'm like, really? And she goes, yeah. I'm like, so Jim shows up with his wife, his kids, his brother-in-law, like coming in hot.
With the cleats.
He came in and he had on, you could see his Charger hat and his Michigan Rose Bowl shirt, his gear. Because, you know, as we all know, a few months before, he retired Nick Saban on that field, you know. So to make the national championship, which Michigan eventually won.
All facts.
In case we need to run down information for those who may have missed it.
Right.
The Asterisk national championship.
So I go up to him and I'm like, hey man, you know, thanks for coming, but we've got a whole camera crew here. Do you mind if we incorporate you into the run? You know, where I'd like before I run, you come up and you give me the same treatment you give to JJ McCarthy, like slap me on my shoulders and, you know, give me some punches. And he goes, absolutely, totally. So sure enough, we go out for the run. And before I do my run, all of the kids, because again, we brought my kids, their friends, we had play 60 kids, St. Jude kids. We told anybody who's on the crew, bring your kids. Rose Bowl's so cool. They're like, just go and run. So my guy from my show, Chris Brockman, brought his little 3-year-old son, and we're just like, run, just as many kids. That's him right there. Cage Brockman and Stone Street would doing videos, and that's just some of the people that Susie got everyone on the screen there. Anyway, long story short is the kids are about to run, and the camera crew's ready, and all of a sudden I hear from the 40-yard dash start line, all the kids are lined up, Jim Harbaugh on the bullhorn. He took the bullhorn from the director and started announcing every kid by name. Ladies and gentlemen, 9-year-old Kathy. You know, and she would run. Ladies and gentlemen, 11-year-old George, right? My buddy Chris Brockman's son kept running it again and again. He's 3 years old. His name's Cage Brockman. So like the fourth time you heard Jim go, he needs no introduction. It's Cage, you know, like that. And for half an hour.
He
for
was
half
just
an
all
hour.
about it.
And his brother-in-law said to me, this is Jim. That's him.
Mhm.
Like this is him all the time. And so I didn't know it was coming. And then he did everything. He gave me the JJ McCarthy treatment. By the way, that hurt. Like I didn't.
It should.
Yeah, like he really like hit me in the chops a couple times, and awesome, just great. Showed up, showed out. Wit was amazing. They were all great, and we raised about $750,000 this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But Jim is the best man. But you already knew that.
I know that personally.
Did you know that?
That Jim is the best?
Yeah.
I like Jim Harbaugh a lot.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
All right.
You did mention while Rich was telling a fantastic story about helping children at hospitals that Michigan has an asterisk on their national championship, though.
They do, but
I've seen it.
I'm still a massive fan of Coach.
Now, how do they have it? How do they have
That
it?
would
Let's
essentially
get-
that was
are we-
essentially me
Are we
being
diving
like,
into this? Do we want to
Nebraska
dive
has
into
an
this?
asterisk in '97 because Michigan also won it in '97.
Did Nebraska cheat in '97?
Back then, probably.
Who wasn't? I'm just kidding.
Boom, got him.
No, that was
Just
the let's give Tom Osborne a gold watch present from the coaches, because I think they
Yeah, it
won
was
the
the
coaches
coaches
poll.
poll
Yeah,
trophy.
the
Not
coaches
the
were like,
AP,
let's
not-
give
not
Tom
the-
a gold
not the
watch on the way
writers.
out the door.
You guys got the writers one.
Yeah, we did. We did
Yeah.
because the writers know
won.
best.
No, the coaches do.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
You'd rather be
or
on
they're
the-
biased. They're biased. Let's give it to. Let's
Tom
give it,
Osborne.
Yeah, Tom Osborne.
Hall of
over.
Fame, whatever.
Yeah, Lloyd
Nobody's
Carr will
touching
get
the
more. They
97
probably thought
Huskers.
Lloyd Carr would got more. They're like, look at all the future Hall of Famers that were out there on the field wearing maize and blue.
Nobody's
You know?
touching the '97 Huskers.
Charles Woodson, Steve
The
Hutchinson.
2024 Michigan Wolverines would
Yeah,
dominate the '97
No, they
Huskers.
wouldn't.
get out of here.
Wouldn't
That
stand a
the
chance.
pipeline, the O line that year, 0 holding
See
penalties.
that hat right
and
there?
0
The hat.
sacks given
Is
up.
that Tom?
That's nice. That's Tom Osborne.
No,
That
that's,
hat goes hard. They need to bring back those 90s
Yeah.
hats.
By the way, yeah, he's got his name, on the side.
on
of
the
his,
side.
Yeah, that's
I,
Tom
well,
Osborne.
yeah, I didn't know if that was him or
That
Jerry
was his
Seinfeld.
headset.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it could've been either
do we
one.
want to get into this? I mean,
We
or
can.
Not?
We can jump in. I think.
So where's the asterisk? What is it?
You guys cheated.
How so?
Sign stealing.
How so?
Infiltrating.
Tell me how the signs got
infiltrating
stolen.
all the computers and technology. You guys were able to watch every team.
advancements in the game, just like the simulcast cam.
Just like what?
So you're saying to me, okay. You're saying to me that because Connor Stallions got people he's never met tickets to shoot video of the other team's sideline, that every single piece of video that they got was not only pristinely shot, but usable and completely translatable in the moment of games to actually affect whether there's a tackle on the play or blow anything up.
I think there's enough footage out there that shows Connor Stallions getting in the coach's ear to tell everybody what's happening, and nobody falls for anything that's going on except for the play.
And the
that
one,
occurred. Several times.
So the one that was most famous, of everybody, they were all pointing up, right?
Mhm.
They're pointing up,
Yeah.
right? And there's CJ Stroud, future Rookie of the Year quarterback. And
that is one clip.
That's
for
one
sure.
of the clips for sure. Did you know
There's
that?
also a
did you know-
screen
Did you know that
with-
Ohio State scored on that drive? Yeah, you didn't know that, huh?
I think I
they
just slipped my
scored on
mind.
that drive. Let me tell you something.
Tell him, Rich.
The number of times that Michigan supposedly cheated to beat Ohio State worked so well that Ohio State had a lead in 2 of the 3 games. Really? Because I'll tell you what, if they were cheating,
like
I
you
would have
guys are
loved to
just
have been.
arguing
I
about
would
a
have loved
house.
to have been sitting in a rocking
I
chair a
understand
lot
that they're your
sooner than I
rival.
did in either of those games. In either of those games, I would have loved to have just blown them out. I would have loved to have done that. How many times? Probably you don't do this on vacation, but do you ever hand your phone to somebody else on vacation and say, "Would you mind taking a picture?"
Yeah.
Okay. How many times when they take a picture, is it really what you're looking for? Or you're seeing too much a mountain, you don't see your other kid.
You got to
don't
coach him
see
up.
this.
Yeah.
You
Kids
gotta
looking
coach 'em
away.
up.
Okay.
You say, hey, you're going to do this.
Is that
Nah.
right?
Yeah. You
So
want it-
everybody
in vertical,
you
hold the
gave
phone
tickets
vertical.
to didn't have like shaky video and didn't give you like 90 minutes of video that maybe 5 minutes was usable. 5 minutes.
if I'm
Give
not
me a
mistaken,
break,
I
man.
believe that
And
that
then-
part
so
is
then,
even
so then
illegal.
what happened? What happened after Connor Stallions got blown out and the entire operation was found, busted, and ripped out? What happened after that?
You guys went on the win of the Natty.
Oh,
We beat Penn State.
The linebacker
and Ohio
coach,
State and
the
Alabama.
linebacker coach, I think
and
resigned
Washington.
and then went to Bama, and you guys still beat Alabama, even when they had one of their coaches.
Who
honestly,
probably gave him some insight into the playbook.
got ripped out.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe.
For sure.
Root and
There's
branch.
no question that linebacker coach.
It got
gave
100%.
It's like when somebody plays on a team and they get cut, and another team
They bring their
brings them on
playbook
right
with
away.
them.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Connor Stallions system got ripped out root and branch. and Jim Harbaugh was informed that he wasn't coaching the team, and Sharon Moore was coaching the team at Penn State until they got off the plane at Penn State. And even then, they were trying to get Jim on the field all the way up to about an hour and a half before kickoff, and Michigan went out and beat Penn State in that game by jamming it down their throat 30 straight times because they realized that the guy, Chop Robinson, who is now, I believe, a Dolphin right now,
Stud.
they realized that he was treating our right tackle like a turnstile. So let's figure out something
disrespect.
mid-game. Let's figure out something mid-game. And the coach who did that and the coaching staff who did that didn't know Jim wasn't going to be there until just before game time. So let's not give credit to that. Let's not give credit to beating Ohio State. Pardon me, the Ohio State.
Great win.
Ripped out root and branch. And it's
Great
on
win.
them too. If you thought we were cheating, then switch up your signal like everybody else does.
Yeah.
It's not, honestly, I don't want to hear this asterisk shit
I mean, there is an
anymore.
asterisk.
No, and I know, and the
There's an
NCAA,
asterisk.
and how is there an asterisk? How is it?
When
They
they
didn't have a coach.
let's say Michigan was cheating. When they got caught cheating, they still had to play Penn State, Ohio State, Alabama, and Washington. Not in Maryland, also, by the way, which I said was going to be the biggest trap game.
By the way, no doubt.
Biggest
What
trap
was
game
the
of
name
all
of the
time.
Michigan
You're
book?
going
No doubt.
top 10 team, not a top 10 team, top
Right.
10 team.
Connor
That's going to be the
Stalions'
hardest game
book,
in the
what
middle.
was the name of that?
He's got a documentary coming out.
He's got a documentary coming
Connor
out.
Oh, and
Stalions'
I'm sure it
book, what was
won't
that
look
called?
good. There will be times where it doesn't look good.
No question.
I totally
The
understand.
manifesto.
also-
the manifesto was already in place. The manifesto was built for success with no coach there, bro. You could sit down Jim Harbaugh. The manifesto was still happening.
Right. And so if what you're saying is completely true, shame on Penn State, Ohio State, Maryland, Alabama, and Washington for not changing a couple of signals. Because they say, hey, this week, instead of this being a pass, it's not going to be a run. And then they would all point up and they'd all back up and then it'd be
Nick
a gash.
Saban had a month to prep.
A month. And Nick Saban with
Nick
a month?
Saban with
How do
a
you
month.
beat Saban? With a better football team.
Yeah.
That's what you
You
do.
guys, Connor Stalions was there since what, 2019 or something like that?
No.
The program.
Wrong. Incorrect.
When was
Incorrect.
he? Search it up.
2021.
The program
is when he
was,
started
was-
sniffing around in
I'm so happy
2022.
Rich is here.
Give me a break, man. This guy was
Well,
selling vacuum cleaners and shit. You
How
gotta
about
be
that
kidding me.
LLC? Who was
You
it? Blake
gotta be
Corum had that
kidding me.
LLC where he's just getting paid on the side.
2021.
You
Look
mean
at
NIL
that right
money?
there.
There was
Whatever.
no NIL at that point.
Let me just say this. Okay. Now that the asterisk, if you will, is placed and whatever.
You
and
guys had the
NCAA
team when you guys got caught this past year.
Yeah.
You guys had the team established. The manifesto had taken its course.
What does that mean?
You guys didn't need the rest of the year
Rich,
to
could
happen.
you
about?
imagine believing
What does
that
that
a bunch of
mean?
pieces of paper make a football team great? Lines
Will,
on paper.
you
That's your guys'
understand-
most important book.
Will, you understand what happens in a snap? It's like shit flies everywhere. You have no idea. You may think, oh, it's going to be a run, and all of a sudden they switch it up on you, and it's not.
You look to the
They could
coach on
use
the
manifesto
sideline,
against
and
you.
they do whatever hand
Come
signal going on, little
on.
fairy dust, and you guys know exactly all
Then
11
why
guys.
was Ohio State up before J.J. McCarthy beat them?
It
deep?
ain't about Ohio State. I knew something was up when y'all beat us 40-something to 7 this past year.
45-7.
Oh God.
You keep talking about Ohio State like there are a bunch of other games played.
Let me ask you a question,
Go ahead.
Will. In all seriousness, you were there, right? Or you were there?
Unfortunately, I
okay.
was.
No. I remember how sad you looked. So, walking out on that field before the game, you were on the field, right?
Yeah.
You're a man who's been around football how long? 20-something years at least?
Yeah, long time.
Okay. You can tell on the hoof who's better and who's not, right? Just looking at it. Just
sometimes.
all the time. You can go out there and look who's bigger, who's stronger, who's faster, and go, we're going to have a long day today, right?
Yeah.
You can do that. You probably did that day. Deep down, you're like, oh, shit. Okay. They're bigger. They're
I knew
stronger.
this
They're
would be a tough
faster than
game.
us.
I knew this
Our
would be a tough
quarterback
game.
isn't as good as that guy.
Exactly.
Okay.
First drive, you kind of know we
Sure
can't live
enough.
in third and short
So-
against
so
Blake
if it
Corum and
wasn't-
that O-line, 'cause
if
you
it
guys
was-
have a powerful football team.
Got it.
But to say we couldn't shock the world that day,
Okay. Got it. We'll have to agree to disagree on that front, sir. And we'll see what happens this year. But at least you got a guy
We
who
don't
looks
get to
like
play.
Mahomes.
We
You
don't
got
get to
that
play.
guy.
They don't,
he's going to be a hell of a ball
Don't
player.
you think he shouldn't look like Mahomes?
Well, I love that he looks like Mahomes.
You do like that?
Oh yeah, bro.
You've been praying on Mahomes' downfall
got-
for the last 3 years, and all of a sudden, the guy looks like Mahomes. You're like, oh, I'm
yeah,
a big
no,
Mahomes
no,
fan.
no.
I mean,
No,
come
no,
on.
no, hang
3 years,
time
Why
out.
wear
Mahomes
your
is
hair
not
like
there.
that when you
Time
and
out,
why
time out.
wear
With the
your
glasses,
and why
15.
in this
Time
part
out, time
too
out.
the
more
chin the chin beard why
Yeah.
why like he's legitimately going for it now,
The dad
right?
bod, all of
The
it.
dad
He's
bod.
got all of it. He's got all the Mahomes stuff going on.
Yeah.
I love it.
With the
I
shit,
love
the
that a young
wraparounds,
kid.
too?
It's the same person.
I love that a young
What
kid
are you
coming out of
doing?
high school, #1 recruit overall,
doing?
has somebody that he looks up to and would love to emulate his game after. I think we all had people we looked up to.
How about
growing
this
up.
one?
And
I'm
the
sorry
fact
to
that
take
he's
over
getting,
here.
the fact that he's getting that attention too, I love it for him.
How about this one? Mahomes 4th on the top 100 list as voted by the players on NFL Network.
Shouldn't he have been like 8?
What?
Don't fall for that. Probably.
Come on. Seriously? Are you joking with me right now? Seriously.
I
How is Mahomes not #1?
I mean, Tyreek Hill
What?
had a hell of a year.
I know.
And the Chiefs had a down year offensively than they did in recent years.
Come on.
I'm just saying.
But when it comes to it,
if you looked at
when it comes down
if
to
you
it,
look at the stat sheet,
get
halfway
out
through
of
the year
here.
between Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes, they had similar stats. I think actually Russell had him a little bit too in the stats.
You
We're
don't
going over that
think-
in S&P. I'm just saying. I'm arguing.
okay,
the point
let me
you're
ask
trying
you
to
this.
bring up.
Let me ask you this question. You're starting a team in the National Football League.
Mhm.
You take Tyreek Hill over Mahomes?
No.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Quarterback.
I don't agree with #1 either.
What are you talking about?
Who's number 1 to you? Trent Williams.
McCaffrey was
I
there
think you got to go Lamar Jackson.
over Mahomes.
He did win the MVP.
Yeah,
I understand.
He had a better. This was based on the year.
When it came
Based on the
down
year.
to what- the year
Yeah.
includes the playoffs.
And
When
the
you're
vote-
voting on something
The
like
vote
this,
happens before the Super Bowl.
is that right?
Yes, it
Now
happens
it
in like
makes sense.
November.
Is that when it happens?
They start to bring out the sheets.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
Because that's when everybody's
NFL doesn't
gathered
have it all
together.
figured out yet. It's usually towards the end of the regular season they start to write down, hey, right here's a list.
All right, now that
20
makes
guys.
sense. That
They
is,
don't
I guess I
wait
should
till
know how the
And
my
we're
own
gonna-
network
that is-
conducts
we're
its
gonna-
own poll.
We're gonna pretend that it's not scripted for the Chiefs. Taylor Swift comes on board, all
Holy
the
shit.
attention.
My
You got
God.
Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes.
Let
You
me
don't-
hold on a second. Is there a tinfoil hat somewhere in the bus?
We got them.
All
We
I'm
love a
saying
good
is it
tinfoil
makes you
hat top.
think.
Come on.
Chiefs should not have won that Super Bowl last year.
And they did it for Taylor Swift?
I
Like
think
seriously, how does that work? Tell me the mechanism by which this works. Who's the one who comes up with it? How do they communicate it to the important people
Them,
enough
BlackRock.
that can actually handle all of it? Who's them?
the
Like how
people
does it
who-
work?
The people who run the,
money.
media.
Walk
Money
me
runs
through how it
everything. Taylor
works.
Swift-
Please
follow the
tell me
money.
how it
Taylor
works.
Swift came in to the game.
See, that's the whole
and
thing with
revenue
conspiracy
went like
theories
this.
that go on, including the person. I don't know if there's a brainworm around here from your previous guest.
Whoa,
Honestly,
Rich,
no,
whoa.
seriously.
Relax,
No.
Rich.
No, that's how it works these days. Is the conspiracy theorists they don't tell you how it works. They
Right.
just tell you it's just working.
Rich
You
Eisen
know, they don't tell
publicly
you.
endorses
They
Donald
don't.
Trump.
They don't give you. They don't give you the actual mechanism by which it works. So Taylor Swift shows up to all of Kelsey's games.
You see
And the
ra-
NFL's
you
like,
see
we
the
gotta make the
ratings
Chiefs
start
win the
to
Super Bowl.
skyrocket.
And so Roger
Revenue
Goodell,
through
is it
the
Roger? Is it Roger?
We don't talk about him.
I don't even think they think that short term. Now they want them to win the dynasty. So it'll be very fascinating to see how this year unfolds.
They want them. Who's they? Like who's the
They.
they?
That's
Exactly.
what we're trying to.
The deep
That's what
state.
everybody's trying to figure out.
They want
The NFL
Chiefs to
deep
win.
state.
The NFL
wants
deep
the Chiefs
state.
to win.
Yes. Goodell makes $44 million a year. Why? How?
Because of Taylor Swift?
Because he does some things behind.
Dude. You guys don't really believe that. Do you really believe that? That Taylor Swift.
You
Like,
know,
what
I
if
believe-
Travis Kelce
you-
and Nate,
hey,
what if the
Rich,
two
you
of them
know-
break up?
you
Like
know
what
what I
How
believe
happens?
a
about
little
this?
bit?
How about this? Here's what I'll give you.
Yeah.
I'm never so committed to an idea that I won't select something better, and I think that one makes you think.
That's
Makes
a
you
great
think
quote.
what? What does it make you think?
And Rich, I
You
want to
can't
bring
be
up
so
something.
close-minded, Rich, to think that this.
Oh my God.
Rich, I want to bring this up.
For somebody who
You're
played the
you're
game
getting
in
very
the league.
defensive.
And who got
You're getting
blackballed
very
in year
defensive.
10.
Well, that's
You're getting very defensive for because you're coming out of a company that you've worked for 21 years. Who's to say you're not? The
I'm
deep
part of
state?
it. I'm
You
in
could
it.
absolutely be part of it.
Now you're
you
onto
are
something.
in the NFL.
You're
you
sniffing
are the
it out.
voice of the
Yeah,
NFL.
you're sniffing it out.
And now
that
I see what you're doing.
I'm so crucially important that you just like it's like a Jenga. Like
Yeah,
you
guilt
pull
all
me
over
out,
your
you
face
pull
right
me
now.
out, the whole damn thing falls apart.
That's why
The
they'll
billions
never let
of
you
dollars.
go.
You're correct.
They'll never let you.
I
go.
have leverage in a way that I never thought I did.
See
I'm
that?
so glad it came on the bus. What?
Is that the biggest villain of our generation right there?
it
Is that the biggest villain? Is it you?
is me. You found me out, guys. Holy shit! I wish I never got on the bus.
Breaks my heart to find this out too. I looked up to
Wow.
you so much.
Come on.
Michigan man.
Honestly, how does it work? You're not telling me how it works. You're just saying that it's just working.
All I'm saying is follow the money.
Follow the money and
If
rest.
you
I
follow-
follow Mahomes.
if you
I
follow-
follow Kelsey. I follow Chris Jones. I follow Andy Reid. I follow Isaiah Pacheco.
Great
I can keep
players.
going on and on and
Yeah,
on.
great players.
They are great players.
Kadarius Toney.
Well, did you notice he disappeared in
Where'd he go
January?
to? Yeah.
Yeah, you
What
went to
would
the
you do?
bench.
What did you do?
Went to the bench. What did I do?
Yeah.
I told him to do it.
You called.
Yeah,
You said, hey,
for-
we got to get these boys the dub.
Yeah, my kids want to see Taylor Swift. I need
Yeah.
better tickets. Let's go.
There it is.
Get out of here. It's so insane. That's crazy.
So the Chiefs aren't. You don't think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl this year?
I think if they do, it's because Mahomes is pissed. The Raiders are using like Kermit,
That's funny.
dolls to piss him off or
That's a
whatever.
funny bit.
Or if I shouldn't say the Raiders did it, a fan brought it and it wound up in the hand of a rookie, which is unfortunate for the Raiders.
He got destroyed in that
Right?
team meeting. the next
So
day.
I'm sure it did, but yeah, if they do it, you could make a case they're faster. They're a faster team this year. John Ross, whose record Xavier Worthy broke. Xavier's their teammates now.
You saw him against
Hollywood
Press?
Brown. That they lost L'Jarius Sneed, but we'll see how they can make up for that. Yeah, they're an outstanding team with the best player in the NFL right now.
Do you think Mahomes surpasses Tom Brady as the GOAT eventually?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
He's on a path. He is 100% on a path. He's ahead of Brady at this age in terms of
scary.
what he's done. Correct. So he's on a and a good thing for Brady that he beat Mahomes in that one point. He got +1, Mahomes got -1. If that got reversed, he'd be even closer right now.
But if it wasn't for D4 jumping off sides, maybe Brady doesn't beat him.
Look at that. Look at you going deep. Now
Going
that's
deep.
But that's information that can actually lead to somebody losing, not who's dating who.
Well,
I mean, that's
if there's not-
insane.
if they make a holding call in the Philadelphia Chiefs game in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, Philly wins.
So let me ask you a question.
But don't go too
Let me
deep.
ask
That's
you
all I
this.
have.
The offensive offside call against the Chiefs that wiped out the go-ahead touchdown against the Bills. Did they not get the Taylor Swift memo? Because she was there. Did they
What
not
happened
get
after that?
They didn't get. Did they not get the memo on Christmas Day? On Christmas Day, when the Raiders went into Arrowhead and beat them, they didn't get the memo to make it happen. Oh, because you knew. No, I'm sorry. You knew that it was just a setup to make it look like it's not a T Swift conspiracy that
So
the
you know the
NFL is putting
answers.
together.
So you know the answers.
So then you knew that they would just rip off. They would rip off consecutive wins, 6 in a row, and win it all. And you knew that Kyle Shanahan would take the ball to start the Super Bowl as well, overtime. You knew that. Or is that part of the conspiracy?
I think Shanahan's in on it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear you explain the 2009
talks.
Big 12 championship.
The which one?
2009 Big 12 championship, Texas, Nebraska, the 1 second being put back on the clock.
Dude, I don't even know what you're talking about. Where are we going? How did that come?
It's Will
My
integrating
God.
Nebraska.
You're asking about. You want
I
me to bring
need ice
information to
because
you to
I
talk
need
about
ice for the whiplash.
conspiracies.
We can talk about Nebraska. I have a question for you.
Sure.
You have a ball club that a couple years ago went 3-9. Last year they went 5-7. They have not made a bowl game since 2015. As a fan base of that school,
Be real, Rich.
do you believe that if they go 6-6 and make a bowl game since the first time in almost a decade,
Yes.
they should be proud of that because they're getting the monkey off their back?
Well, I mean, it would be great for them to make a bowl game. Just you're talking about just any.
Let's just say no. We're just saying they go 6-6 this year.
You're just saying. Speak for yourself.
They go 6-6 this year.
Yeah.
And they make a bowl game for the first time in 9 years.
That's great for them.
That's great.
Sure.
And the fan base should be happy about that.
I don't know, because they're now in a very deeper end of the pool. I think I heard Matt Rule talk about how it's the best conference, right?
Well, it is the best conference.
Right.
The Big Ten is the best.
Yeah, and by the way,
has the best competition.
Isn't it great to watch now that Paul Feinbaum doesn't have Harbaugh to kick around anymore? He's spreading it out on Ryan Day, his coach. He's just kicking everybody in the balls.
But Paul Feinbaum didn't mention Michigan when he was saying you're not with the Penn States, the Ohio States, and the Georgias.
Listen, I totally understand why everybody would think that we're beatable right now, because Jim's gone and so are a whole bunch of NFL players.
Yeah, but Sharon
setting
Moore's
a record
the man.
as we did.
You would assume that a
joking with me.
national championship team holds the line and holds the standard the same way a team like Alabama does year in and year out.
Well, we'll see how
Georgia.
Alabama does now without Nick, right?
Right. But I'm saying the
Hey, listen,
expectations should still be
bottom
a national
line is this.
championship
Bottom
or
line is
loss.
this: college football has changed forever, and we don't know how it's changed yet because we haven't seen it yet. But perfect example is Michigan Ohio State plays this year, right? We've got all the house money. We being us, Michigan, right?
Yeah.
All the house money.
All
3
of it.
wins in a row against Ohio State and a national championship. All of that business, right? It's all great.
We're the best.
It's, of course, and we're going into the horseshoe. They spent $20 million to keep players.
We'll
and-
just say the most NIL money of any other team in college football.
Correct. And Ryan Day can go on, wherever he wants to go on and talk about how the players are coming back for the scarlet and the gray and not the green, right? And they're coming back for the maize and blue to try and beat them, not the green. Fine, let's just give him that.
Marvin Harris
correct?
Jr. but okay.
Let's give him that.
Right.
All the house money, all the pressure. Doesn't matter if he's undefeated right up until that game. It's all the pressure on them to beat a Michigan team that's supposedly less than coming into their building. But even with all of that, even if Michigan shocks Ohio State will make the college football playoffs, right? Because there's now 12 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, the way it's now done in the Big Ten, we're racing all of the conferences. It's now the top 2 teams in the conference play each other, period. One big, huge mosh pit that Oregon is now going to be throwing their hat in the ring, and they're very, very stout, if not the best team potentially in the Big Ten. You can say that. Long story short, though, Michigan could potentially play Ohio State the next week in the Big Ten championship game for the first time, because now it's one huge mosh pit. And we might even see them play a third time if they match up in a 12-team national championship bracket. It's totally changed. So we don't know how things are going to work out in college football anymore, which means 6-6 doesn't cut it, because great, you're making a bowl game, but bowl games are now even less important than they've ever been before. And it's tough to say that because everyone loves the most wonderful time of the year and all that business. But 6-6 ain't cutting it. You need to get to at least the top 12, but at least for you, there's 12 now. You got a shot.
Absolutely.
You got like maybe a Dumb and Dumber chance, but you got a shot. You know,
You're saying there's a chance.
I'm saying there's a chance.
Yes.
Is what I'm
The
saying.
line is 7.5 for Nebraska's win.
When you
total.
say line, what are you talking about?
The line.
Gambling.
Okay.
Sports betting.
Yeah.
7.5. You taking the over or the under with Nebraska this year?
Pull up Nebraska's schedule this year, because
Let's
Rich is
see
an
it.
NFL guy. He's not
Yeah,
a college guy.
that's right. I need to see the schedule.
Need to see a schedule.
Do you have as tough a schedule as Michigan, where you got to play Texas at home and USC?
No.
You got to play those guys.
What are the chances you go to that game? You got to go to that game.
I can't.
You got to, man.
Which
We're
one?
going to be there.
Texas?
Yeah.
It's-
September 7th. What are you doing?
Getting ready for week 1 game day morning,
you don't
sir.
gotta do that. You don't got to do that.
Oh, UTEP, Colorado. Oh, you got Prime, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
6.5 point favorites.
Northern Iowa, or as Kurt Warner refers to his alma mater, the Northern Iowa. Illinois at Purdue. That'll be a tough one for you. Home for Rock. Good Lord. My
Over,
God.
under 7.5.
You better be over 7.
I agree.
You better be. Oh, you're at USC. You're going to come out for that game, LA?
Probably not. Our second child is the due date is November 14th.
Got it. So that's a no.
Hard no.
At Iowa, that'll be a tough one. Yeah, you should. I'll give you 8. You should with Mahomes at quarterback and Matt Rule talking a big game, brother.
A lot of the
You
defense
should.
returning.
My
Big
other
fan of
point-
Matt Rule. I'm a big fan. I like Matt Rule a lot. I thought it was a little wild. He starts talking about this is the NFL type stuff, but
My other point,
I
one last
love
thing
Big
about
fan.
college football and the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry is that the loser of that game most likely won't be eliminated anymore because there's 12 teams that make the playoffs, which means the last time that was essentially an elimination game ever, Michigan not only won that, but won the 2 such games before that as well. The last 3 of those is my point. Just one last opportunity to come on this bus and shit on Ohio State. It's really my pleasure
beautiful.
to fly all the way out here just to do that.
A lot of insurance policies too for us, given the unspeakable happens with them spending $21 million in NIL money.
Oh, that's why it's all
They just
on
bought.
them.
They bought.
That's
They
why
bought it.
It's
Yeah.
that's why it's all on
Everyone's
them.
got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
I'm so happy when I just did the jacket dinner in Canton and
Nice flex.
and they the fans there, many of them Buckeye fans, they heckle me when I step up to the microphone, and for years it was difficult to retort. I was retortless. I would even go on the air. I would go up to that podium and say, I have no answer. You're right. I can't say anything back to you. The last 3 years, it's been awesome. It's
Bliss.
been, oh God, this past year, it was great. Cause I by the way, I go to that jacket dinner in peace. You know, I come in peace, but you know, I step up and I hear OHs and I'm like, okay, now we got to have something. So I always have something in my back pocket to say. So this one this year is like, I'm glad at least for you, Dwight Freeney is here. So at least someone associated with a horseshoe can tell you what it's like to win a big game. That went over like the proverbial wet fart in church. It was great, you know, and it just gets everything going. And I'm so I could sense like maybe I should pull back a little bit. That was really aggressive. So I stopped and I started on again. So my favorite ones are just to pop them out when they don't expect it. Like a half an hour later, an award was given to a gentleman from Mexico for his lifelong accomplishments as a broadcaster in Spanish-speaking television for the NFL. And he finished his speech in Spanish. And so I turn to the Hall of Fame official to my right. I'm like, do you mind if I do one more Ohio State dig? And he just looks at me and goes, go ahead. Like, so, okay, because I got the green light. So the guy finishes in Spanish, and I step up there, and I'm like, round of applause, congratulations to him. And I'm like, listen, my Spanish is a little rusty, but for everybody here in the audience, I'll translate to you what he said. And I've written it down here, and I'm like, Michigan has beaten Ohio State the last 3 Novembers. I'm so proud of myself for that one, man. Like they didn't see that one coming. Like that one was just.
How was the room?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's like a left-hander who hides the ball as it takes it out of his mitt. You don't see it coming. Like you can't see the entire wind-up.
Yeah,
that's my favorite ones. Oh God, it's the greatest.
It's beautiful to see your passion.
Right now, I am writing so many checks with my mouth, and it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't. Like I said, those winner go home Ohio State games, the only ones that we'll ever see again are in the college football playoffs. Now that game will be intense if that day comes, and I think it will. We'll see that.
You think so?
Why wouldn't we?
Tough schedule this year. I'm excited. I think we're going to pull it off, but September 7th is really where we find out.
No, Texas will be a tough one. Obviously, USC will be a tough one.
Oregon.
Michigan plays Oregon too.
I believe they do.
I don't think so.
No, you guys do.
Let's take a look. Let's take a peek.
Yeah. Do we play Oregon as well this year? Probably do, because they always give Michigan the toughest schedule possible.
2nd.
Yeah. So can we do this? If you do this favor, I know we're pushing 2 hours or whatever.
Are we really?
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. It's been fun. Have you been having fun?
Do me this favor one last
still
time.
got another
Michigan schedule versus Ohio State schedule. It's just not, you can't even compare them.
Yeah. Pull it up.
And I say this all the time because Michigan always has to play the toughest schedule because we're the biggest draw.
I appreciate how much you hate Ohio State.
Oh my goodness gracious. You have no earthly idea. And it was, the urban years were tough. They were really tough for us to get through. And now it's been great the last 3 years. So this is Michigan's schedule, right? We have that. There it is. Fresno State, and then home for Texas, home for Arkansas State, home for USC. So we do start the first 5 at home. That's a nice benefit. But 2 of them are against Texas and USC. Then they're at Washington. Come on, man. And then they're home for Oregon. And, of course, we always play Michigan State. That's the way it's always going to go. Mm-hmm. And then we always play Ohio State. Come on.
Hey,
all right, so that
gives Illinois is not a walk in the park either.
At Illinois, too.
Right.
Okay.
Champagne.
All right, so now let's look at the Ohio State schedule. And you tell me if this is comparable in any way, shape, or form. Okay, here's the Ohio State schedule. Home for Akron, home for Western Michigan, home for Marshall.
That's it.
Okay, that's the gauntlet right there to start.
You see where the gauntlet
They go
is.
at Michigan State too. Home for Iowa, they have to go to Oregon. Now that's their first huge test. Unless you want to include a home date with Nebraska as a test. They've got to go to Penn State.
We'll be 6-0 at that point, so
good
that
enough.
could be a test.
Good enough. They have to go to Penn State, which ain't easy, we know. And then
nothing until
and then they finish 3 out of their last 4 at home.
Purdue
They're only
gets,
the
Purdue
game against
sneaks
Northwestern.
Ohio State every now and then.
Game against Northwestern, by the way, is in Wrigley Field. Okay,
cool,
that'll be cool. The Ivy, right? But at any rate, and then there's that game against Michigan. Which is the tougher schedule? Please, it's not
you
even
guys
comparison.
have the tougher schedule, but it's not like that's a walk in the park.
Nope. No, it's a walk in a pretty small park. Come on,
it's a pretty average schedule.
Thank you for at least admitting that.
That's big.
So,
that's big, especially
at any rate,
Compton's mouth.
There you have it.
It's nice to see your pride in Michigan, and I feel like a lot of people in my generation of going to Michigan, people lost that because we were not very good. But when you're growing up, going to Michigan in the 60s and 70s,
nice,
and be able to have the success you did and to carry that for as long as you had, is beautiful.
Yeah, those were rough years too to be on campus. Yeah,
were they? No, they weren't.
What, in 60s and 70s?
Well, whenever you were actually there.
Yeah, I was there in the late 80s.
You know what I mean?
Which is for you like practically the 60s and 70s. It would be the same thing.
You can bundle up 60s, 70s, 80s all in a ball. Mm-hmm. That's all the same to me.
My staying power is just uncomparable though. You can't. I'm good. Don't worry about it. I might be even old to you, but I'm good.
Should we
Look
talk
at me.
about
What are a few keys to your longevity?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what keeps me alive?
Yeah.
Taylor Swift controversies.
Mm.
Oh God, they're just great. I can't get enough of those.
They're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
No, but there are like I won't say one of the few, but also like you've been somebody who's adapted as the world of TV and social media and everything else too. Like when you look back at some of the things that have kept you in the game at this high of a level, I mean, is impressive because we can joke about all the older generations and the old heads you talk to in your fan base, yada, yada, yada. But I feel like there are certain things you got to have to kind of keep your stay in this food chain the way you have for the last 2 decades.
I don't know. That's a good question. I just go to work and be myself, every day with a great group of folks who have stuck with me on my show through, different corporations, birthing it, picking it up, being partners, COVID, my God. And the last 5 years I've owned the show. And so, not only are we colleagues and friends, but, I'm eventually somebody where the buck stops. And every day we just figure out what are we going to talk about. And thankfully people dig it, and I honestly, I don't think about how I'm going to be young today, or let's talk to the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just myself, and I'm just thankful that I still have people who are interested in what I have to say. To be honest with you.
Has ESPN ever approached you to acquire your show? Or bring your show
We
to
have
the
had
UK?
conversations about it in the past, but it's just never happened for various reasons. I like I said, I have no quarrel with them.
That had to feel pretty good, though.
All. Well, I mean, it part of me feels like, that's my DNA. Is it started with the ESPN, and they're part of my career, and obviously they're as big as ever. And I love so many people who are there, from Stephen A. and Pat. I saw Pat at the Combine. And I have nothing but love for everyone there. So, they're always going to be in my thoughts all the time, but it's never happened. It just hasn't happened yet.
Not yet.
If not yet, I did say yet, but
You
I don't
did
know.
Say yet.
I don't know. Who knows what the life
lets you go. Do we want to do tier talk?
Absolutely. I love the tier talk that
Okay.
Sherm had set up for us. Kids, team, sport movies.
Okay.
Will be our topic. Are you familiar with tier talk?
Go for it. What is it?
Your top 3, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. You
Got
can
it.
throw
Okay.
you can throw an honorable mention if you'd like.
Okay, so it's sort of like a start bench cut type of situation here?
You're not like cutting a tier 3.
Okay,
you
so
know what I
1,
mean?
2, 3.
It doesn't have to be those. It can be any kids team sport
Kids,
movies
teams-
that you had
so
kind of
this
growing
is-
up. Did you guys have sports movies growing up?
Oh my God. Let me see. You consider Remember the Titans as a kids team
I was going to ask
sports
that question
movie?
too, Sherm.
And Karate
They are in high
Kid.
school. They are in high school. It is a sport. It is a sport.
We haven't had a conversation with Ralph Macchio on my show. Is Karate Kid a sports movie? We kind of, yeah, he kind of said it's kind of like a coming of age type thing, more than a sports movie.
Yeah.
So I would go.
It doesn't have to be on this list either.
I know. I mean, well, I'm gonna go. Tier 1 is Like Mike because I was in it. How's that for a flex?
That's a nice one.
Like Mike is one because I still receive like 5-cent residual checks for being in Like Mike. So there's that. Like Mike, actually, I'm in it with Kenny Mayne. And I think that pissed off Stuart. Was that the kid? Was that Disney's The Kid? Yeah, that's the one. I was with Stuart Scott and Like Mike. I'm credited as Stuart Scott, and Stuart is credited as me. Like we purposely did that.
Love that.
So So I'll go that. Space Jam 1 is a tier 2. That's great. And Hardball, really? This is some really Bad News Bears is a pretty great one. Yeah, I'll go from my era where there were sports movies. I'll go Bad News Bears is 3 for right there, tier 3. I showed it to my kids the other day, and they were like, totally. They're looking at me like, Dad, like, you're showing it like the manager's drinking and driving. You know, like what's up with that? Like they were totally blown away. And then when Tanner dropped the N-word, they're like, really? You're showing us this movie? Like, what the hell's the matter with you?
And you're like, yeah.
And I'm like, listen, the
watch it.
70s were a different time. So yeah, those are my 3.
You missed the 70s.
Yeah, because I was a kid in them. Yeah.
Taylor, what's your one word?
Who are you texting?
He's looking up.
I'm making my list.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you prepped for this?
I'm prepping.
Okay.
Actually, during the show.
Great.
My
Good
one
job.
word is going to be seasoned.
Authentic. Gentlemen?
Reverse.
Flex.
Calvin Cambridge.
Veteran.
Big dog.
Finally.
If
He said finally.
if we're closing, can I ask a question to close?
After we do our tier talk.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. Do you want to go first or you want me to go?
I don't know. He really just kind of ruined the vibe with that.
What? How did I ruin the vibe? Thought we were closing.
Closing.
I'm sorry.
Your flight's out for another 3 hours.
Okay.
Buckle up.
Okay.
Yeah, fair.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and go.
Okay.
I'm going to go honorable mention, Cool Runnings. My tier 3
John
Is-
Candy was in that.
is going to be Air Bud.
Okay.
I followed
You're-
that dog pretty
You're a
closely.
dog guy. Okay.
Yeah, throughout that dynasty
Why not?
of a film.
Dynasty.
My tier 2. Oh man. I forgot one. I can't do it. Taylor, you're up.
Okay. Okay. This is actually a very
man.
difficult one, but I'm gonna have to go off just my childhood on this because I think there's a lot of movies up here that I didn't appreciate till I was older. Cool Runnings being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But for my childhood, I'm gonna give an honorable mention to the Mighty Ducks. Gordon Bombay, the boys, just sacrificing so much, bringing a group of misfits together to take on championship after championship, growing old together is truly beautiful. Another one that we can all get behind is my tier 3, which is Sandlot.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Sandlot,
Should have included
just
that.
all the characters, incredible. The young lad, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now, fakes drowning, gets the girl to give him a squints.
You ever seen the movie?
Phenomenal movie. Phenomenal. My tier 2 and my next 2 are going to be Disney Channel original movies. Brink. Pup and Suds. It's a roller skating movie. There's a part where guy falls into a hay bale. He looks for help up and then pulls the guy down and keeps going. Ends up still taking the trophy. It's a beautiful movie. My number 1, my tier 1 is going to go to my first passion is motocross, and it's going to go to the Disney Channel original movie Motocrossed. About 2
Boy, you're going
kids,
deep cut.
brother, sister. The brother and the dad are big time. They have a track in their backyard. Brother
Yeah.
ends up getting hurt.
Yeah.
Sister cuts her hair and pretends to be him and gets into this little league and ends up taking over. And beautiful movie.
Never
Beautiful
heard
film.
of it. Never seen it.
Beautiful film.
And nobody was able to catch on to who that was either during the movie.
There you go.
Yeah. This movie was before its time.
Great tier talk.
Disney.
What?
That's my one word.
Oh, okay.
To
One
describe
word?
the
One
tier
word?
talk.
Is that what it?
Yeah, you gotta use one word to describe his tier talk.
To describe your tier talk?
Yeah.
Weird.
Okay. It's the way you said it too with your face. I didn't like.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. When you said it like that, I didn't
He
like
said,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Unique.
Extreme.
Sports.
Icebox.
Radical.
Hoosiers.
Oh, okay. That's not a bad one. Hoosiers. That should have been number 1 on my list. I don't know that was included.
I
Never seen it.
Oh, you shitting me?
No, they're older.
You've never seen Hoosiers?
Never seen
You've
I mean,
never
obviously-
seen Hoosiers?
Pull it up.
Yeah.
You've never seen
older.
Hoosiers?
No.
Dude.
Was Jerry Seinfeld in it?
Oh my God. Oh my God. I know it'd be weird for you because it's in standard definition. Dude, it's Gene Hackman. It's a story of
I've heard of
David
Dean.
beating Goliath. My
Miracle?
God.
It's about Miracle
Dennis
on Ice?
Hopper. It is
It's
just
a great
like
movie.
it.
It is a great movie.
You have to see it.
Yeah.
It's
That's
my number one
more of
sports
our-
movie.
I feel a little backed
that
into a
fills
corner
our
right now. I
little-
feel
It's my number one sports movie.
wow. You didn't say that.
Yeah, and
though.
it's done by the same people who did Rudy. If that means anything to you, I hate Rudy because I hate Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Like I watch Rudy hoping he like pops a quad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've also
Is that
never seen
wrong?
Rudy. I've
Is that
never
wrong?
seen Rudy.
That's all right.
That's all right. That one's okay.
It is a great sports.
Like you
movie.
enjoy seeing Rudy fail in that.
Oh
movie.
my God, it would be great. And I was told by David Ansbach, the director of Rudy, that Rudy has heard me say this before and wants to fight me over it.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Would you?
Yes. Huh?
Would you fight him?
Absolutely. And I'm a lover, not a fighter. Absolutely. All right. So I've got a question for you guys.
Will, are you gonna finish your talk?
I'll go quickly so you can get
I'm
this
sorry.
question.
Shit,
Go
I'm
wait for
sorry.
this question.
I keep on busting up tier
since
talk.
I forget, and I am so disappointed that I forgot the Sandlot, but the Sandlot is in there
It is
as
great.
my tier 3. My tier 2 is going to be Space Jam. I think Space Jam, when little MJ's there at the free throw line at nighttime to start the movie, it's like you start to dream as a kid. Space Jam is my tier 2, and my tier 1 is The Little Giants. I feel like that is the movie I watched the most in that one time coming into fruition against the Dallas Cowboys. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan growing up, so parts of it kind of suck seeing them lose, but I loved watching the Little Giants pull out the win at the end. But Little Giants is my tier 1.
All right. Do I have to go a word for that?
Mm-hmm.
Tin foil.
Are you just projecting?
Yeah. Yeah, I am just projecting. I think it's a conspiracy that you chose Little Giants. You know,
Follow the money.
No, it's a conspiracy against actual giants that you would choose Little Giants. So on behalf of all giants, you know, that you don't like them. So I think that's why I went tinfoil.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't ask me to explain how it works. I just know it's working.
You don't have real information.
I know that's more than one word.
Hyphenated.
Yeah, you just hyphenate it all. That's one.
Oh, is that right? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Rushed.
Bubble wrap.
Classics.
Annexation of Puerto Rico.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Hopeful.
Inspiring.
Becky.
Solid.
Well, wait, did you have any questions for us?
Yes.
Okay.
This is my final question for you guys.
Because we have one more for you.
Well, okay. When does Jack get his Silverado?
Ooh. That's a great question.
Honestly, the one situation, the one of the many angry responses I've gotten from your fan base with each photograph that Jack posted, the most common response was that I'm disrespecting Jack by not coming on the bus. That on behalf of Jack, guys helping guys, or guy who works hard not getting rewarded because I'm too elitist or highfalutin to actually be on this program. That is the number one most common angry response to my lack of appearing on this program, is that I'm denying Jack his Chevy Silverado for posting every day. And so now I'm asking, how do we make this happen?
Can we hold for just 1 second?
Oh.
Look something up.
Sure.
Please.
Like what, the title of his car? Like, is that what you're looking up?
I think the stipulations were he can't miss a day.
Mm-hmm.
To
Oh,
get
no.
the Chevy Silverado.
What are you saying? Are you saying he missed a day?
There are rumors swirling that there are
Don't listen.
multiple days that are at question.
Are you saying that I'm finally here? I made it to the bus. We have put together 2 hours of high quality video and audio entertainment, I believe.
Yeah.
And
now
you know that butterfly you're talking about? I have it right now.
We
'cause
we
it
have
hurts.
reached the end of the line.
Yeah.
And you're saying he doesn't get the Chevy Silverado?
That's not what we're saying right
Hey,
now.
I
What are
don't
you
think
saying?
I said
That's
that
not
at
what we're
all.
saying.
Okay, so what are
I
you
think
saying?
that there are days in question
Jack?
that we have to verify.
Don't listen to the hearsay. This is just a witch hunt right now.
It's a witch hunt.
Conspiracy.
What is it?
Tinfoil
Let's do
hat
this. Here's what
brainworm
I'll say.
operation.
Yeah.
As of right now, Jack McPherson's Chevy Silverado is in review.
In review.
In review.
There
Now,
are
I will say
days-
this.
There are days
Like
that
we're under the hood here? Is that
We're
what
under
you're
the
saying?
we're under the hood. Jack, do you have the microphone in your hand?
I do.
Did you ever miss one
No.
day?
772 today.
I want you to really
772. Don't do this brainworm.
No. I'm truly
Nice.
trying to cover every basis because I'm not just thinking about this conversation right here. I know the internet wants you to have your Chevy Silverado, and I know the deal.
The world
was
wants it.
every,
The
The
world-
world.
Are you
Hold on.
You don't,
No. I do.
because the internet will hear this.
I do. But just listen to what I'm saying.
All right.
We know
This
that
is
you want the
riveting.
Chevy Silverado.
Riveting.
Rich wants you to have it. Will and I want you to have it.
Do you?
The rules of engagement
Do
were it has to be every single day until Rich Eisen comes on the bus.
Day
Now
772.
we will
We
go
haven't
into
posted today either.
we will now go into review
Yes.
to check every 772 days.
Oh,
If you've missed one,
it's an audit.
Wow.
then you are willing to say
Y'all
you're,
really went full corporate here.
if you're willing to miss one.
Hang on.
If you missed one,
we
are
drew
you
up a
willing to say
standard
you
with
do
each
not
other.
deserve it?
We drew up a contract.
If you missed one, are you saying you don't deserve a Chevy Silverado? If
Do
you
think
missed
I
one,
don't.
I asked you a
That's what- 'cause
question.
it sounds
I
like
asked
what-
you a question.
I know,
I'm
and I'm
saying
countering with a
if the
question.
rules were every single day for 772
I just
days,
want you to tell
and
the
you
internet
said
I'm not
and you
getting
said
in
no
trouble.
immediately. You said no. Did you when I asked you if you missed a day? I'm asking you if you missed one day, do you deserve the Chevy Silverado?
Yeah.
What if you missed two?
I mean, there's 772 days.
Jack,
out there
how many
on the
days did
internet.
you miss? Did you miss it?
Zero?
Okay, you
This
said you missed
brainworm
0 days.
information.
Brainworm. By the way, if I've left any lasting impact here, the fact
hit RFK.
that brainworm is now officially
Brain-
part
Yeah, I
of
was
the
gonna
Bussin
say.
lexicon as a shorthand for conspiracy theory, I'd be very happy. Number one. Number two, I'm here for you, Jack.
Thank you,
Literally,
Rich.
not just here for me and for the Bussin franchise. I'm here for you.
Thank you.
And
You're-
and
that means a
so
lot.
so
Rich would
and
like
listen,
to-
I've appreciated the deep cuts and I appreciated the easy cuts. I've appreciated your hard work and dedication. You know, the rule was for you to not miss a day. I think there should be a grace period. Personally, I think there should be a little wiggle room.
Okay, how many days?
Rich would like to
What's
tell
the
you
cutoff?
he's going to buy you the Chevy
Hell
Silverado.
no.
Yeah, Rich. Thank you, Rich.
That is incredible.
No.
That was a great speech to
No.
Jack.
That was amazing.
No.
You're the man.
You're
You're
here
the
for
man,
him.
dude.
No,
People
I've
might say
shown
something
up.
different. You are the man.
You're here for him.
My contributions to this cause have been two things. One, having such a vast array of photos from which to choose to allow you to do what you've done.
This was
Two,
all you.
and then showing up. That's it. After that, you're on your own. But I'm here for you, and I think you should get a little bit of wiggle room. But you're saying that there's no wiggle room. You've done it for 772 straight days.
771. Today's
772.
772.
Okay, and that's the whole thing is when this gets posted later on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay,
haven't figured it out
we haven't
yet.
figured it out yet. Does he now post every single day? Because I'm assuming,
I think he continues to post until we decide we're going to release this.
correct.
Yes.
That's what you got to do.
But obviously, if he misses a day in this period, it's
that would be now that
Not much wiggle room
to
there.
use a phrase from the Goodfellas, I got to turn my back on you at that
Yeah.
point in time. If you miss
Understandable.
anything between now and then, seriously,
So we will continue.
yes, we
the
go
count.
Yes.
Until
we reveal.
But I
Yes.
really want to iron this out because
Oh,
I want
boy.
to do
Oh,
what's
no.
right,
Oh,
and I
God.
want to do what the people deserve. If you were to miss a couple of days, how many day grace period would you say Jack should have?
Let's just say
It's got to be single digits.
no, very low single digits.
Okay.
Yeah,
very low.
Okay.
single digits.
I thought you were going to say like
Massive.
20. and I'm like, Rich,
No.
Now you're doing
so
too much.
771 days is what rough, more than 2 years.
Yeah.
Do we give them
Yeah, we know
two days a year?
So 4 total.
4 total. I mean, people get 5 days of vacation, working days of vacation a year, or 10 days of vacation a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm cutting that by 4/5. I'm giving him 1/5 of vacation days that people are
He's a good
traditionally
vacation schedule.
allowed.
He's a good man too. He deserves the Chevy
So
Silverado.
I'm saying, I'm any more than 4, then you got a case. But the rules were he doesn't miss a day.
That's where the rules.
So the
But
question
it's
is really how, magnificent or magnanimous of bosses are you guys? Really, it really comes down to your
Let me ask you
that
this: what kind of culture?
Magnanimous.
What kind
Yeah,
of culture
magnanimous.
would we be instilling if we let the small things go? Because Michigan didn't win a national championship
true.
by not.
I know you
being
got to button
devils
up the
in the
little
details.
things.
The little things.
The details.
The little things are big
Championship
things.
teams are all about details.
Didn't Connor Stallions get a ring?
Magnanimous. Oh, stop it. Now, Jack, that's not.
I'm just
Now you're sucking up and you're pissing me off. Generous or forgiving is magnanimous. That's what it means. Generous or forgiving, especially towards a rival or less powerful person. I think that's a
Jack runs our
perfect
social
use.
media. I think he has just as much power.
Okay. All right. Listen.
So we'll agree on 4 days.
Sure.
You feel good about 4 days?
I would
I
like
mean-
3.
You'd like 3?
Simple strike system.
3 strikes and you're out.
Interesting.
Baseball.
Interesting.
Oh,
The
Jack.
internet will have
Time
things
out.
I
to
think
say.
Jack's
If you-
beginning to go through his head and thinking he's might have
Yeah,
missed
I was
more
gonna
than
say, if
3
you've
right
done 0,
now.
then it's not even.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. If
No,
you've
yeah.
not missed one day,
Oh
then
my
there should be no.
word.
That's fine. The
Oh,
thing at the end of the
no,
day,
Jack.
I know that yeah, there should be
I
a time
smell
limit on
panic.
said audit, but
What do you mean a time limit on? Like, there's a time limit on how long they can actually review your work?
that's what my boys in the
I
back
think
are
that's. I
saying.
think that's fair.
That's what my
Yeah,
boys in
that's
the
fair. That's fair.
Oh yeah, you can't give them the truck and then take it back because
no,
after
no.
further review, you know what
Yeah,
I mean.
then what we do to the truck?
Okay,
We
so
have
how
our
long do we
hey,
do? Like, what is?
hey, and to let you know, we do have our eyes on a truck.
Yeah, we do.
We do got
yeah,
eyes.
Okay.
It's nice. You're gonna love it.
And that means it.
We found
does
it on
not run.
cars.com.
It's used, but it works.
This is amazing. This is a story that just keeps giving.
Can we just real quick iron this out?
Sure.
3 days.
Yes, 3.
You've said
I
0.
thought wasn't the initial thing 2 per year, and it's been over 2.5. I mean, I'm fine with 3. 'cause
I
there's
think Will
been
asked for
0
3.
miss.
Will asked for 3. I said 4.
Yeah.
And the
3
way it
strikes
works,
and you're
Will
out.
has the
3
final
strikes
say.
and you're out. It is
Strikes.
more.
3
It is.
strikes.
It is right. Okay.
And you give us,
We'll go from you can have 0 to we'll allow 3.
and that's a big jump.
Yeah.
All right. And you're saying you did not miss one day.
And how long? And how long do you guys have to review the? How long does the audit take? Are you allowed for the audit?
Well, I think
5 to 10 business days.
Oh, I think
5 to 10 business.
what I was
days.
going to say is,
Well, we're
by the time this episode comes out, I think during that intro we will understand what the answer is.
okay.
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 We got our work cut out for us.
I like it. You do. You do. Digital footprints and fingerprints are a bitch, man. You
know.
better hopefully
Paper trail.
you better be buttoned up, Jack.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, like I
The thing that's
I know I
throwing me
keep
off-
making pop culture references that are too old for you, but I'll do it anyway. Has anyone ever seen The Shining? Anybody seen The Shining?
yeah.
You've seen The Shining, okay?
sir.
So Scatman Crothers, he plays the guy who runs the Overlook Hotel, except during the season, right? And he's shining with the boy from Florida, and he realizes the boy's in trouble. Okay, because his dad's going insane, the caretaker, right? So he goes from Florida on a plane all the way to Colorado, gets in a snowcat to go all the way up the mountain, gets in the hotel, finally there to save the boy. And as soon as he gets there, spoiler alert, gets an axe in the chest. That would be you in this equation. If we get all the way to this point, you go all the way to this point just to get an axe in the chest, would be a horror show of the first variety. And I hope and pray that the audit turns up. What if it's 3? What if it's 3? 3 is like
Ty goes to
4
the runner.
So he's the runner.
He's the runner.
Okay, so 3 is the max.
Yeah.
So it's not 3 and you're out. It's really 4 and you're out. Right? Let's
I
make
guess-
sure.
Yeah, I guess
Like
you're right.
we can have a
That's
push
good,
here.
That's good.
A push.
fine print.
Push
That's
is good
fine
for him.
print.
The line's at 3.5.
Okay. And
I root for the under, man. I don't
know
want you to
you
be
do.
Scatman
The little
Crothers
guy.
in The Shining, dude.
And some would see it as an axe to the chest moment. I
Yeah.
see it as more for the love of the game. At the end of the day,
Gotta respect that about
Boy,
you.
he's about there. Technically, there is no I in Bussin, man. You're a team player, Jack. That's impressive.
it's a weird
I'm
movement.
impressed because I would want that Silverado. If I don't
Oh,
get
me
it,
too.
I would be pissed.
I got a 4Runner out there.
as if
300,000 miles on it. So I
as
was
if
hoping it wouldn't break down the way you-
767 of the 771 days is not good enough.
I know.
I understand what the rules
And it's
are.
hard
We've
too because
established
he's
them.
been doing this for a lot longer than we expected because somebody's schedule, and it's been hard. And I thought this was going to be like a 100-day deal. I
Dude.
really did because
I
when
know,
Will and I
right.
sat here on the bus and we
Yeah.
whispered back and forth when Jack
I
was saying
said
we're
no.
Sherman.
I was like, "You can buy me a Chevy Silverado."
Yeah, he did say no, and I pushed for that.
Okay.
And now to get to this point, and if we,
Yeah.
what do we stand on? If it's 4, and it's like, damn, Jack, we can't. I sat here and gave him a chance to say
Yes.
if he's missed
Yes.
one because I know if he missed one, he knows in that head of his right now. He's aware.
I got to be honest with you. I smell panic, Jack.
Because it's right,
I
because he
feel
says
great
no
about
so
this.
strongly, and then it's like, okay, well, if
I
you
know
missed any,
that. I know.
then you don't
He
get
was
it. He's
so
like, well,
resolute. He was resolute, and then I see a little moonwalking, and I'm beginning to get a little
I don't know. I
nervous.
mean, this is a day I
I'm
live
nervous.
with you every day, Rich. Every day.
I know that.
So this is a conversation I've been preparing for 771 days. So if I am, definitive about my answer,
Yes.
it's because I've played this conversation out for 700.
You know more about me than most people.
100%.
I know.
Jack, if you missed a day, I'll give you some grace, but you got to say something right now. I just want this for you so
No,
bad.
we decided.
I don't think
three
that's
strikes.
what you do. Taylor,
Three
I think you're trying to
strikes
play
and-
into the internet so that you don't catch heat. And if said thing, you're trying to play the nice guy
listen,
card.
Base-
In reality,
Base- Jack.
you don't want this to
If
happen.
the internet, no, the reality is I do want this to happen. It was
Okay.
me who pushed Will into saying we should
That
make
is
this
true.
deal.
That is true.
If the internet gets mad at me, if the internet gets mad at me for not giving you a Chevy Silverado because you
yes.
missed a certain amount of days, the internet needs to be mad at themselves because they're pointing the finger in the wrong direction.
Oh, and I agree.
Yeah.
I won't be on the side of that fight.
I
For the love of the
I will
game.
take that heat because I'll feel really bad. I'll be like, man, 771
Yeah.
days and he missed, let's say 5.
This is it.
It's like,
Yeah.
We've reached the end of the road, sir.
It's almost sad because
I
I
know.
don't know.
Are
what
you
I'm
gonna miss
do in my-
posting? Are
I
you
don't know
gonna
what
miss
to do in my
posting?
day to day?
You could still do it if you want to.
Yeah, just continue it. For
you should.
Post
The
pictures
Rich
of
Eisen
him.
show should post one of Jack until he comes on.
Y'all might run out pretty quickly.
one a day. You post a lot. You'll be all right.
Yeah, just send me selfies.
Yeah,
No
you just take my
question.
videos like me.
As long as they're appropriate, I'll post them.
Man. Yeah, I guess. I will go through the audit
All right.
process.
I'm glad we have established
Yeah.
the guardrails here,
Mm-hmm.
and we're ready to roll. Oh my word! Okay, brother, I could see it. He's shown me what you would get.
And I just saw your face.
Yeah,
That thing's so nice.
yeah,
Don't show. Don't.
yeah.
I won't know.
I'm just hoping for your sake that it comes up at three and out, and I hope that you have enough money for your own paint job.
Wow, Rich. Maybe gave up too much there.
Not really.
I mean, we
You know
know
what I'm
it's
saying?
gonna
You don't
be
need money for a new
absolute
page.
beauty.
That thing is beautiful.
That thing
Okay,
is man.
okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
That's my own biases at work. I'm sorry. Be quiet.
Let's get a twisted question. Let's get Rich out of here, huh?
Okay.
Twisted question is brought to you obviously by Twisted Tea, 5% alcohol. It's great for tailgates, watching the game at the house, at the bar, doing a tailgate with the boys. It is
Zero
seriously-
carbonation.
Zero carbonation. It is really the best drink, especially during the fall. Twisted question. We have 2 of them up here.
Okay.
Which one do we want to do?
You pick one, Mitch. Is your
Who would you tweet a picture of
Ah.
for 772 straight days if it guaranteed they'd be a guest on your show?
Okay. Taylor Swift, because
No question.
I'm part of the conspiracy, and
You understand ratings.
and the fact that I would
money.
keep tweeting out photographs of her would cover the tracks that I could get her on the show anytime, because I have created a controversy that has not only if found called into question her popularity, but even more so the Chiefs' ability to actually win football games. How does that sound?
I love
know what I mean?
that.
That's a great
I
answer.
love that.
You know what I mean? So I would do Taylor Swift, you know,
It's a great answer.
Who's
And
been
plus
the most
popular.
starstruck that you've had on your show?
for me,
Yeah.
Starstruck. Huh.
You've had a lot of awesome
Michigan
guests. I
left
literally
tackle.
saw like Matt Damon on the other day.
Man, no, the one for real for me, most recently is Seinfeld. And again, I know that I know you're like, who's that? But
Short
for real,
bald guy.
The B-movie guy.
not him.
Yeah, people.
But he came on, and it was, you know, I'd been wanting to have him for some time, and he was in person in studio, and we recorded it after a show. So we had a bunch of time with him. Had no idea that he was going to start by being somewhat critical of the set that I have there, and how low he is to the ground, and how high I'm sitting in a chair, and how weird it is, and how spatially it's something that I should rectify. And he got up out of the chair and stood over me just to say, how does this make you feel?
Oh,
And I just remember sitting in my chair and looking up and just seeing Jerry Seinfeld looking down at me. And it was just like, wow, what am I going to do with this moment? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of out of body that A, he was there, and B, he's staring down at me.
Mm-hmm.
Then we just had a great conversation. It was awesome from there on out, for sure. So
beautiful.
that's my answer to that question. But Taylor Swift, for sure.
Okay.
Who's
You know
yours?
how popular I'd be?
Man, I don't know.
Rich Eisen. What do you mean if it's his?
I mean, that's
Who
All right.
would I? Adam Sandler.
That's a good one.
You can get him. No?
I've never like. There's some people you feel like you're
Yeah.
one connect away. He hasn't been somebody yet.
Okay.
Sam Morril, we had him on. His episode is either already out or coming out.
Yeah,
He
that's
was
mine.
talking about him hanging out with Adam Sandler, and it feels like he's everything I've thought he is.
He's the best. I met him at the World Series in the late 90s when I was covering the Yankees and Braves, I think it was, or Yankees and Padres for ESPN radio. And had walked around with him. The stadium stopped for everybody who stopped. Everybody stopped him. And this was a time before there were cameras on cell phones, so people were like popping out like real cameras and shit.
Mhm.
And he stopped for every single one of them. Even got on the phone to leave a message for somebody, and recorded an outgoing message for somebody. Said yes to everybody.
That's awesome.
Couldn't have been nicer.
That's awesome.
When
Could've
they
been a
would
nicer
ask
guy.
in like, I think middle school or high school, like who would somebody dead or alive you'd like to have lunch with? A lot of the times my answer would be Adam Sandler. I just think he's
Good
think he's the
dude.
man.
Like he is
Also a
real.
great twisted question.
yes.
Yeah, he seems like the man. Mine would be We got a chance to meet him at Notre Dame versus Ohio State last year, and
Yeah.
he was everything as advertised.
Yeah.
Sat with
He's
us.
great.
Talked about doing a flea flicker on the 10-yard line, and we were just thought, well, thank God you're not the OC.
Yeah.
But he was awesome.
We were in agreement
His-
that they should have took the 3 in
Yeah.
that first or second drive.
and
His
he does this way of making you feel like just like you're a part of his little crew, because we ended up meeting him, and then we're on the sideline. We're like 3 rows back. He's like towards the front. And during the first quarter, he like looked back at both of us. We're like, "Hey, come up here!" And
Yeah.
we just started talking ball, sitting
He's
there.
probably taller than you think too, right?
Yeah, I mean,
You're
I
probably
know
eye to eye
he
with
was
him,
tall
right?
because Wedding Crashers. He's like, I feel so small in your arms. Well,
Yeah.
how tall are you? 6'5", but I feel like I'm 5 feet. And that's like, oh, I guess he is a
Right.
tall boy, huh?
Yeah.
His character in Swingers is one of the best ever. Have
I've
you-
only seen the movie once.
Are you
It's a
shitting
little
me?
too. It's a little too old for me.
Come on.
I've only seen it once. I know, and I want to have that with you so bad.
You got to
I know,
see
I
it.
wish-
You've never seen
I
it?
haven't either. I've heard him
You
talk
gotta
about
see
it.
it. You
But
got
the
to see
baby,
it.
your money baby, the whole thing, it's just great. It's just like
The best.
like pure, like raw.
Yeah.
Vince Vaughn.
And then, John Favreau in it, the
He
scene
is
where
a
he
such
I feel like
the
he's
scene-
not talked about enough.
well, he's now as huge a director as there is
Mhm.
anywhere.
Right.
And so, but Vince Vaughn and John Favreau's character in that movie where he leaves a message for a girl he had just met in a bar is like it. You watch it like a horror movie where your hands, you watch it through your fingers.
Mhm.
It is truly. We've all been there as guys, and it's. Well, I'm assuming, but yeah, it's a. You guys have a lot of holes in your
Yeah,
film.
I agree
Yeah,
with you.
yeah,
I
but
agree.
also you got some time on us.
That's right. I do have some time on.
Yeah, and you've seen this is like
That scene right there. Holy shit. That
You'll have to
is-
watch Swingers.
Dude, you got to see it.
it is
But
good.
yeah, Wedding
I've seen
Crashers
it
is
once.
more, contemporary. I understand.
Yeah,
Will
and
Ferrell would
it's
be
like-
cool.
He's in
too.
Rudy as well.
2005?
Vince
Yeah.
Vaughn's in Rudy
Yeah.
as well.
He was like a bully, right? Was he like the bully in that movie?
I
Or
don't think so.
like I said, I haven't seen it.
Will Ferrell would be cool too.
Will Ferrell would be outstanding.
Yeah.
Just all those guys.
Yeah, he came on my show once, and our crew came back. I like going into the green room whenever a guest comes by to say hello. Always like doing that because my show's live, so it keeps going and going and going. So I always like going back there to say hello. A couple times when I've been on talk shows, I've always appreciated when the host comes back and says hello.
Mhm.
Just always makes me feel at home so I like doing that whenever I can. So my team knows that. Will Ferrell came by and they stopped me from going back. They said, Will doesn't want you to go back there. I'm like, why? Like, he showed up in costume. And he showed up in costume because it was the day before Halloween.
Mhm.
He dressed as his Halloween costume for that year, which was Jesus Christ. He dressed his full costume with a beard and a Dodger hat on, and sandals with his initials on it, W and F, because his kids chose the costume, and this right here, he shows out that the costume says one size fits most on it, and that was one of the funniest moments because he couldn't breathe at one point through the beard. He sort of got, there it is, one size fits most. So, but I remember all this stuff, and the fact that he shows up in costume. It's just like,
I mean, that's
it's
awesome.
It's an honor.
That,
Like,
yeah,
I'm,
that's
I'm,
an honor.
I'm honored
Showed
by
up
that.
on your show in
Yeah,
costume.
and like, so it's one of those things where you prepare, like, I'm going to ask him this, I'm going to ask him that, and he comes out dressed like that, and you just take it,
Yeah.
throw it out the window. Kind of like our potential questions for
Yeah.
today's product.
There was only one that we kind of just went
That's
to
it.
as a joke.
Right, there you go. So
Great episode. You did not disappoint.
thanks, brother.
772 days. You feel like there'd be a lot of pressure coming on this bus. You handled it so
Come
gracefully.
on, man.
You were
I'm
amazing.
built for the bus.
You really are.
But
Whether it runs or it doesn't.
dude, get a motor, and this thing goes around the country. Do you know how many fans would you pull this bus into college campuses? Holy shit, you'd be beaten. Like, you'd have like college game
We've
day
towed
type
it
crowds.
to. We towed it to some college campuses.
Okay,
That's not what you're thinking.
you never towed it to? Are you serious?
Yeah, we
you
did.
do it in
It's a lot
advance.
of
Just
money.
let them know.
Yeah,
It's a
we
lot
do a
of
bad
money.
job
Come on,
of telling people
Portnoy's
where we're
got
at.
it. Portnoy's got it. He probably made as much money at the Rose Bowl than it would cost to tug this bus all
Yeah,
over the
man, $1
country.
million. Yeah.
Yeah, come
We
on,
would
tell
cost not even a tenth that.
I just told him, let's go.
Yeah, but if you're to buy Jack a Silverado and then put an engine in there's a lot of overhead now. There's
Jack,
a
let's
lot
go.
of overhead.
Let's go. I hope your audit turns out well.
Thank you, Ray.
Last person I said that to got arrested by the IRS.
Oh, God.
So sorry.
Can you
to
say
let know
names?
that. No, I'm just kidding. That was
Oh.
a joke.
It was a good
I
joke.
appreciate you.
Solid joke.
Thank you so much.
I'm always looking out for you too, because I
Thanks,
don't want
pal.
one of your boys behind bars.
It's
You
all
don't
good.
want that.
That doesn't happen.
Good. Not yet.
Not yet. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, man.
Thank you,
got it.
sir.
You got
Go
it.
blue.
Thank you. Same.
Rich Eisen. Subscribe.